At 4 with the BBC News, I'm Anna Preston. The former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick says the government's new bill to send asylum seekers to Rwanda is a political choice and won't work. He said the legislation would lead to the scheme getting bogged down by legal challenges. Speaking on the BBC's Sunday with Laura Koonsberg programme, Labour's Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall said the government's overall plan on migration was lacking and that the focus should instead be on getting people with the right skills to come to the UK.
The hole at the heart of the migration plans from this government is that they have failed to deal with the skills and training shortages in this country. We need a plan for immigration that works for our economy so we can have a managed and controlled system.
Well, the Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove has insisted the latest Rwanda asylum plans are legally sound. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected international calls to end the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization says the war is having a major impact on healthcare there, with toilets and showers being few and far between. Civilians have been urged to leave the city of Khan Yunis in the south as Israel intensifies its offensive. A murder investigation's been launched after the body of a baby was discovered in Ipswich. Emergency services were called after the newborn was found outside premises on Norwich Road in the city yesterday lunchtime. The baby was declared dead at the scene. 3 people have been arrested on suspicion of murder. People in Jersey have paused to remember the 10 people who died in an explosion at a block of flats in St Helier a year ago. The cause is still being investigated. Peter Bowler was one of those killed. Tony Palmer met him when he joined the Jersey Judo Association and says his loss is still being felt by those who knew him.
I've come in and sometimes I've stood there and I think, is he going to come in now? I thought, no, he can't. You know, you just get, every now and again you just think, it should be here. There's just nothing we can do about it. Just hope that they come to the conclusion. That's what it needs, is the conclusion, especially for the family.
Bradford Synagogue is holding a civic and interfaith service this afternoon as the Jewish community celebrates Hanukkah. The service also celebrates 150 years since Jewish people first settled in the city. Susie Cree is chair of trustees at Bradford Synagogue.
We'll have 2 rabbis and it will be a normal Hanukkah service. We will light the Hanukkah menorah. We usually ask leaders of other faiths each to light a candle, or civic leaders. And then we'll have traditional Hanukkah refreshments afterwards.
And in football, a new attendance record has been set in the Women's Super League. 59,042 people watched at the Emirates Stadium as Arsenal beat Chelsea 4-1. You're up to date, it's 3 minutes past 4.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London sport.
Good afternoon and welcome to North London. If you've just joined us, if you've been with us throughout the afternoon, we've already brought you some great excitement here. Still to come, full commentary of Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United. 2 changes for the Spurs. Papa Matar and Richarlison come into the starting lineup for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Giovanni Lo Celso, who both dropped down to the bench. Maybe a slight tweak for the formation as well, bringing in Bradley Allen in a moment or two. Get his thoughts. For Newcastle United, they're unchanged for the team that lost 3-0 at Everton last time out. Talking about losing at Everton, Chelsea have been there this afternoon. Mark Taylor.
Everton 2, Chelsea 0, and it's a second defeat for Chelsea in 4 days. The first half belonged to Chelsea. Jordan Pickford had to make diving saves to foil Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer. Armando Broja was off target after some great play from Mikhailo Modric, but Chelsea couldn't score. Everton improved after the break. Robert Sanchez saved well from Dwight McNeil. Then the keeper came off his line to deny Dominic Calvert-Lewin, only for Abdoulaye Doucouré to score on the rebound. With something to hang on to, Everton defended well, and Lewis Dobbin doubled their advantage in stoppage time, hammering the ball in. It's finished Everton 2, Chelsea 0.
Well, Mark, thank you very much indeed. Mark Taylor's been watching that one for us at Goodison Park this afternoon. Elsewhere in the Women's Super League, Arsenal 4, Chelsea 1, with that record crowd of almost 60,000 at the Emirates. Brighton Hove Albion and Leicester drew 2 apiece, and Liverpool and Bristol City drew 1-1 in on Merseyside. West Ham Everton, by the way, is goalless at this moment in time. Look at the Premier League table as it stands. Liverpool top the lot with 37 points, a point ahead of Arsenal on 36, Aston Villa on 35, Manchester City on 33. No, Manchester City, I think, have been confirmed as victors as well. They've beaten Luton by 2-1, haven't they? Spurs, Manchester United, Newcastle United, the next three after that. Bottom of the table as well, and maybe not a surprise, despite the fact Everton, Bradley Allen have had points deducted. They've been on the march, haven't they, really? And maybe not a surprise that they've got themselves out of that problem. If you look at it, I mean, they would have more points. They would have 23 points. I mean, if they hadn't have had that deduction, Everton have been nudging into the top half of the table. Fulham likewise have nudged into the top 10 as well with that victory today. They've been on the bounce as well. Thoughts on those games maybe in a minute, Bradley, but here Spurs looking to end 5 without a win. Newcastle United win at home, don't win away.
Well, the fixtures come thick and fast for Spurs across December and into the new year, and this is an important game. You know, your home fixtures, if you're going to accumulate a key number of points, Phil, and Tottenham are a club that, you know, want to push for the European places, you've got to win. But Newcastle, similar to Spurs, both, you know, have changes. They have a lot of injuries. You know, maybe that's something that's just, you mentioned the other night, collateral damage really for the way that they play. Just this fast, intense, direct style of football, a lot of running, a lot of sprinting. Both have suffered, and quite significantly. So, you know, it's probably not on paper 22 players of the best 22 players that could be selected by Big Ange and Eddie Howe on show. Having said that, there's opportunity for some. You know, Richarlison gets a start. He's recovered now from minor groin surgery and is deemed fit to lead the line for Spurs. Not sure who's going to directly be the supporting player behind him, whether that will be Kulusevski, whether it be Brelin Johnson. But Son's okay. He got a knock in his back, so that's a plus. Spurs have gone with, you know, 4 attacking players there, really. I think they're going to take the game and press and go at Newcastle, but we know Newcastle themselves, with Gordon in good form, Isak proving to be an excellent signing for them, Almiron in terrific form, I would say, for the last 18 months. They've got a brilliant goal threat themselves. You mentioned about the way that Spurs go about attacking things. I did see some analysis looking ahead to this game as well, because they've dropped 16 points from winning positions so far this season, Spurs. These 5 games without a win, including 4 defeats in that 5. They have scored the first goal in that game. We saw it on Thursday night against West Ham United. There's been some analysis that maybe they go too quick out of the blocks and start running out of a little bit of energy. And if you're running out of players, and we looked at the bench on Thursday and went, oh, okay, is that problematic? You know, in a game where, you know, if you do run out of a little bit of energy, it doesn't take much. It's a game of percentages where other teams get back into matches. Yeah, and, you know, sometimes if you play that particular style, and we see it in a lot of Premier League fixtures, Phil, maybe the concentration levels at the back end of the game can start to go a little bit. You have to be super fit, you know, and you have to train that over a period of time. And that's where, at times, Spurs have conceded and they've let their opponents back level and to overturn a deficit and actually, you know, beat them. And that's recently happened since the brilliant one at the start of the season. And they've got to find a way. Sometimes it's about finding a way, whether that's actually scoring even more goals and on the scoreboard putting a football match to bed, which they didn't do here on Thursday first half against West Ham. That's the lesson that this newer group of players under this new manager certainly need to learn. You know, there's not just one way that you can win Premier League football matches. You have to bring an awful lot now. A lot of the opponents, the players, the coaches tactically that you're playing against, they're skilled. They can change up in games. They can change formations. They can, like you say, Phil, change personnel from the bench that can have an impact and make a difference. So I think piecing all those factors together could be some reasons, you know, why Spurs have been on a disappointing run after an outstanding start to this campaign.
Absolutely. For Newcastle, maybe also, it's not been easy in the Champions League, coping with Champions League football. It's only their 4th season that they've played in that competition as well. It's a new experience, and that's a very testing competition, Bradley. So they've had to cope with those games midweek, as well as obviously then getting back into the Premier League.
Well, that's a talking point, Phil, isn't it, for us? I think with Newcastle today, they've got a monster game next week.
Huge.
So, no question, at St James's Park, in front of a raucous, intimidating atmosphere and those Geordie fans, I think it's AC Milan, am I correct in saying that? Their last group stage game, they've got to win that to have any chance of progressing. You can't tell me that some of those players haven't got one eye on that game. So maybe that might be a minor advantage that Spurs can use in their favour here this evening. Let's hope so, because Spurs really need 3 points tonight.
Just to, as you say, from Newcastle's point of view, it's a hugely important game to qualify maybe for the knockout phase, or even to at least have European football. Because if they were to lose, they don't even have European football come Christmas, come the new year. Well, which would be a real disappointment.
I don't think
or would it be a disappointment?
When you're building and you're trying to progress like he is, a monster club, Eddie Howe, he doesn't want the momentum to be shot here tonight and be off the back of a heavy defeat and a poor performance then leading into that game, even though the magnitude of that final Champions League game. I think he'll be hoping, and I think as well, Phil, he needs to be a little bit careful, because the expectation now, with him getting Newcastle brilliantly into the Champions League spot, into the top 4 at the end of last season, you know what, those owners now will be expecting exactly the same again. So he can't, and he wouldn't want his players to sort of be at 70% this evening and just, you know, look at that next game and sort of half prepare themselves and be a bit half-hearted tonight. I don't think so, because they're not in the top 4 at the moment. They're a few points behind, you know, the teams that are in it: Liverpool, Arsenal, Aston Villa and Manchester City, of course. So, you know, there's still work to do in that regard, just like Spurs.
I'm just watching the warm-up that Spurs are doing here, Bradley, and I'm seeing Brennan Johnson to the right of Richarlison, Son to the left, and is that the masked man Zorro or Dejan Kulusevski in behind with Yves Bissouma? Sarr, sorry, Papamata Sarr, and I'm just looking where Bissouma is, but he's... So that looks as if it will be
4-3-3.
Yeah,
so
Johnson and Son right left.
Bissouma will play in that sitting position,
role,
the number 6. Spurs will play with 2 8s or 2 10s. Kulusevski and Sarr supporting the front 3. Son off the left, Johnson off the right, and Richarlison down the middle as Spurs number 9.
Looking at that, sort of what they're doing, I know it's only one striking.
Could be an indicator, Phil.
It could be an indicator.
Yeah.
Very quickly on what's happened already today. We saw West Ham here the other day.
Good, weren't they? Great performance second half.
In the second half.
And deserved the win.
But in the first half, Spurs could have been, like Fulham were today, more than one goal to the good.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be important, isn't it, for Tottenham to take the chances? But from West Ham's point of view and their fans, they'll be like scratching their heads.
Yeah.
And, you know, a few questions now back on David Moyes. He's probably a bit like Eddie Howe midweek. He's now on Thursday with the importance of their final Europa Group League game against Freiburg. He's got to win that. He's got to win that. There'll be 60,000 punters there. They'll be making great noise. Europe's good for West Ham. They're champions of Europe. Their fans tell everybody that, and rightly so, because of that extraordinary feat in Prague in the summer. So, you know, they've got to get back to the training pitch and go again. But well done, Marco Silva. He's really picked Fulham up. You know, scoring goals for fun. A great run in the last few games. A big couple of wins to them with hefty score lines, and they're in a much more healthier position now.
Whereas Chelsea aren't. They've got less points after this stage of last season, which supposedly was a disastrous season last season. They've lost to Everton, who are in a false position because of a 10-point deduction, but they're now 4 points clear of the relegation spots, Everton, which is no surprise, but they really are flying, and I think Sean Dyche has probably used the punishment of the FA to really galvanise that squad.
No, he's done brilliant, Sean Dyche, isn't he?
From Chelsea's point of view, I mean,
I don't know, Phil. This is going to be a really interesting watch. What happens with Chelsea? Because I'm just looking at that, and I do me sometimes. Mathematically, can or will Chelsea get into the top 4? Well, Phil,
not this season.
I doubt it this season. At the moment, where they sit, the points tally, and the form of the top 6 or 7 teams. unlikely. What has he got to do to keep his job? Maurizio Pochettino, who's a coach that I absolutely love and adore, he's probably got to win the League Cup or the FA Cup. As simple as that. That will be the expectations, because that's a route for them into Europe, because Chelsea feel...
Through the league, it's not even looking possible.
No, I can't see it through the league. I think it's unlikely. There's too many better teams at the moment. He hasn't found his right formation. He's got too many players. That's fact. Too many players in his squad. He's having to manage that. There's not enough consistency. At times, Chelsea have had some brilliant performances and have played very, very well, but they're not showing enough consistency in the Premier League, game after game after game after game, to push where probably the owners want them to be. You know, they play at home, don't they, in the quarter-final of the League Cup. They've got a kind FA Cup draw. Yeah. So I expect them to get last 16, last 8, maybe semi-finals or a final in that competition. I really do. But that's probably where the priority is now going to be. Just one-off games now from Maurizio Pochettino to keep up, you know, both the cups and challenging for those.
Let's look back at another big game that finished earlier today in London. Almost 60,000. It's a record for the WSL. With Arsenal beating Chelsea by 4-1 to go level on points with the champions in a real titanic tussle now for the title this time round. Player of the match, Alicia Russo, caught up with Joe Curry on the final whistle.
Well, Alessia, how do you begin to sum up a performance like that against a team like Chelsea at a packed-out Emirates?
Yeah, I don't think Sundays get much better than that. Great day. I think we started the game really well. We knew we wanted to come out, start positively, and the crowd got behind us from minute one. So, yeah, we worked hard in the week and we were ready for it.
Did it feel like a must-win game before you kicked off?
I think every game is a must-win game for us. We had a tough start to the season, but we knew where we want to go as a team. And yeah, the league is so competitive that you can't take one game off, especially against a team against Chelsea. So yeah, it was a massive game, and we knew we had to be at our A game.
Really, really big win for Arsenal today against Chelsea. Let's also get some reaction from the other side of the fence. Well, we will in a little while, but let's actually talk and hear from Beth Mead first and foremost. No, let's hear from Emma Hayes first, shall we? Because she had to give her assessment of the defeat and her side's performance.
I thought we were too deep in the first half, much too deep, and I think that invited pressure. But we have to be clear, they scored from their first chance, poor from us. Second was a corner where we got bullied and the ball went into a corner space, and you know, it's not an area for our goalkeeper to come and claim. That's 2-0, or at least 2-1 at that point. And then a simple ball in behind our centre-backs. And I thought our problems created meant that it's an uphill battle second half, because then we're committing numbers forward and then we give away a silly penalty. And fair play to Arsenal. They bullied, they harassed. We didn't compete anywhere. I thought the whole team was poor for us today. And when you play a good team and you're 3-1 down away from home, then 4-1, everything's an uphill battle. I think it was an extremely difficult game to coach.
Beth Mead opened the scoring for the Gunners in style, spoke with our reporter Emily Herbert at full-time.
Amazing atmosphere. Just happy I got it on target and in the right place to go in the back of the net, but yeah, really excited about that one.
Do you think it was that Chelsea had a poor game, or that you have this amazing quality in your squad?
I think we made them have a poor game. I think we were aggressive, we were intense. I think everything about our game today is what we wanted to implement throughout the season. That's our goal now, that's our level, and we've got to keep it there now.
Did you expect to get 4 goals against them?
I mean, I don't think you ever expect 4 against Chelsea, but we have the quality in the team to do that, and we put them away today.
Well, they'd only conceded 7 in the previous 8 games at Chelsea. Goal difference now just +3. The advantage that Chelsea have, level on points with Arsenal. Man City are third, just 3 points further back. Manchester United have got that game against Tottenham Hotspur women, which kicks off at 6:45 this evening. Spurs can go level on points with Manchester United on 15 points, or Manchester United could close in to within 4 points of the top of the table with a victory at Brisbane Road. 5:30 kick-off as well in Rugby's Champions Cup this evening. Harlequins have headed over the channel to take on Racing 92 in Paris. Racing table-topping in the top 14 at the moment. One of the toughest places to go for the first Champions Cup game for Quins. Their director of rugby, Billy Millard, says he's pleased to go there off the back of that really big result, thrashing Premiership leaders Sale Sharks last weekend.
Yeah, I think without even the Champions Cup, it was pleasing. You know, like we'd come off 2 losses, so the points were very important, and being at home as well, where we didn't have a good performance last time against Surrey, so that was important as well.
And also the manner of the way you played as well, the way you had to sort of, you know, fight to get the ascendancy and then play so well in the second half.
Yeah, like I said after the game, like our physicality and our spirit in defence was the thing that probably set us up for some good Quins moments.
Obviously, you know about going to Racing, but what kind of a threat are they? What have you learned from watching them in the build-up to this?
Well, you know, they're an extremely strong squad. Obviously, with Lancaster in there, they've got a new coach in place. So we've noticed a few differences. You know, they're playing very well. So, yeah, we're under no illusions. The challenge ahead.
In terms of what you might be able to do against them, do you just always trust the way you play, or do you, as you did against Sale, maybe alter your approach a little bit?
You always have to alter your approach a little bit with the team you're playing. But, you know, we went there last year and performed really well. So, you know, the boys are looking forward to getting back in that indoor stadium. But, yeah, like you got to tweak a few things. But, again, that physicality and execution under pressure is going to be critical, like in any game. But, as I said, when they click, and they have been, they're a force.
And do you feel some of your players as well are kind of hitting near top form now? I mean, obviously Tyrone's been playing well a few weeks. Marcus looked brilliant on Friday. Joe Launchbury really hitting his straps now. I mean, the list goes on. But do you feel that after, you know, getting everyone back in camp, it's taken a little bit of time, but now you're starting to see everyone kind of getting there?
Yeah, I think the internationals are now well and truly settled in. You could see that against Sale, and guys like Tyrone and Chandler and Will Joseph, you know, they're getting decent game time now under our system, so they're all starting to flow nicely as well.
And with the Champions Cup, does it feel different to the Premiership? Does it feel like a step up, or just different?
We try and make it feel different. I think the boys, you know, the fact that we're playing 2 French teams straight up is a nice change up. So the boys really respect and enjoy this competition. So we try and, you know, we're training at the Stoop today. We reference a few things around it. So, yeah, we try and make the week feel different.
I know it's business, but a few days in Paris isn't the worst thing either.
Oh, mate, to get a couple of nights sleep away from the kids is heaven. I won't leave the hotel, a couple of hot baths, lovely bit of Netflix, stuff I don't get to do at home.
Oh. Yeah, well, I hope you had a relaxing time, because they'll be at the stadium now, getting ready for that 5:30 kickoff in the Champions Cup. Saracens losing at Bulls, of course, yesterday. Tough encounter that was. Billy Vunipola being shown a red card, 12 minutes into the second half as well. Here we are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, building up the atmosphere. We've got 7 minutes to go to kick off, given their run of 4 defeats in the last 5 in the league, 3 of them here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Is Ange Postecoglou starting to feel the heat?
You know, it's always there. It's how you kind of treat it, and I've never let it sort of guide my path or my way forward. I mean, I just think I've got a clear idea about what I'm trying to do, and we'll keep methodically working against that and being really disciplined about that. But that doesn't mean long term. You know, for me, like I said, I don't have a 3 or 5 year plan up my sleeve that's guaranteed for success. What I do have is a plan that I think will get us to where we need to be. How long that takes, I don't know. It depends on sort of how we keep sort of, like I said, discipline in sticking the path, because ultimately, whether it's this challenge, there'll be another challenge in 6 months' time. There'll be another one. Even if you have success, there's a challenge there, you know. So it's how really focused you are and how committed you are to go on the path that you've started. And I'm unwavering with that. You know, I just will not budge in terms of, because I just think, that's what I believe is the best way forward.
He's also been speaking rather candidly about some of their attacking issues of late and some of the inexperience in the front line.
He's 22. I mean, he's still sort of learning the game in many respects, and you know, it's a big move for him. You know, Kulusevski, similar. You know, he needs to sort of develop that side of the game, but it's like anything else. You just got to keep working at it, and it's not just them. It's us as a team. You know, the opportunities just didn't fall for them last night. It was other players in those areas, and like I said, we lack some real conviction as we have in previous games. I think from the start of the season, though, I don't think we've rewarded our dominance with, you know, goals. Even in the games we've won, we haven't really, converted the opportunities or created the chances that our play should have. So as I said, that's still the area where we've got a hell of a lot of work to do.
Teams are gathering in the tunnel. Newcastle United and Spurs. Ange Postecoglou makes his way out to the edge of his technical area, gets a warm applause from the fans around us. Coming into this weekend, only 4 teams had a worse Premier League away record than Newcastle United. 5 points on the road in their 7 games so far. Their boss Eddie Howe was asked why they've not been able to replicate their form at St James's Park away from home.
It's an interesting one. Of course, our crowd play a big part for our performances at home. We haven't quite hit the heights away from home. We're well aware of our record. We need to start getting wins. It's very difficult to do that in the Premier League.
And with such little time between Everton and Spurs on Sunday, how do you get ready for the next game?
Well, it's a usual pattern for us this season. So we're sort of used to the rhythm of playing, resting and then playing again. And there's no sign of that stopping anytime soon. So we desperately need some help. We desperately need some injured players back. And hopefully that will happen.
And just a couple on Spurs. Obviously, it's a big game, a place where you got a great result last season, but they've really taken their game on this year, and it's going to be another tough match akin to what you've had in the last week and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, very similar to the 3 games we had last week, really. The elite game away from home, big test for us. Tottenham have done very well, as you say. Different style of play this year, but they've been very successful at it.
But one thing your players have done during this tough period is rise to the challenge, haven't they? And delivered top quality performances. So if they can, that's obviously what you need this weekend.
Well, we need a response. I think that would be very much on my mind and the players' minds to try and put this game to bed and put it right.
That's Eddie Howe, the Newcastle United manager. I'm sure he's probably been linked with the possibility of being here in the past when there's been managerial changes. Certainly was linked with Celtic, turned it down. Ange Postecoglou ended up at the Scottish Giants and delivered a treble amongst other silverware as well before getting the job here at Tottenham Hotspur. He stands on the edge of his technical box, hands plunged into the pockets of his 3/4 overcoat. Eddie Howe in a tracksuit, standing on the edge of his technical area as well. The team's being read out inside the stadium. Vicario in goal for Spurs, Porro, Romero, Davis and Udogie, Bissouma, Sarr, Kulusevski and Son, we believe, wide of Johnson and Son wide of Richarlison, Kulusevski and maybe Sarr in behind, with Bissouma sitting. For Newcastle, Dubravka in goal, former Spurs man Kieran Trippier, Jamal Lascelles, Fabian Schär and Tino Livramento, the former Chelsea player, Lewis Miley, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Miguel Almiron, Anthony Gordon and Alexander Isak are their front players. Son Heung-min comes to the centre circle alongside Jamal Lascelles. And the 2 captains will toss the coin and get on with the formalities as they are prepared to go into a little huddle, and then words are being exchanged. Bradley Allen, final moments before we get going on this particular game, and they will again tee it up with the lone trumpeter encouraging the crowd to sing along. So here we go then, BBC Radio London. Will the Spurs go marching in this afternoon? Bradley Allen, Newcastle United in their change kit. Dark charcoal grey shirts and shorts, bright yellow socks. Spurs all in white, shirts, shorts and socks. And as we said, it's the mask of Zorro for Dejan Kulusevski today. And the referee, Chris Kavanagh, after a weekend again of huge scrutiny of officiating, will no doubt be assessed quite strongly. As Son heads it away in midfield, and it comes away with Lewis Miley, who tries to nudge it over to this near touchline. Spurs trying to stop very quickly. Here's Richarlison, just one Premier League goal so far this season. Kulusevski on the left-hand side, goes back to Udogie, spins away from the attentions of 2 or 3 players and finds Bissouma. And just like on Thursday night, Spurs start quickly. It's Son, right-hand side. Now it's going to be Porro who whips in across and out of play for a throw into Tottenham halfway inside the Newcastle United half of the pitch. Bradley Allen.
Well, as expected, Phil, a very fast start to this game, notably from Spurs, although there's a turnover there. And we know, Phil, both these sides, they don't know how to play any different, really. We expect goals. We expect a special game in this one.
Udogie works it back to his goalkeeper. Vicario closed down by Isak, though, who is leading scorer for Newcastle. He's on 9 and they've won it back, Newcastle. Another turnover to Gordon, prods it behind Isak, and we know that Anthony Gordon's equalled that record of Alan Shearer in scoring in 4 consecutive home games in recent weeks. Away from home, though, Newcastle's form. They've lost more away games already this season than the whole of last season, and they've only tasted victory once. Spurs, though, have lost the last 3 at home, which in itself is somewhat momentous. Here is Ben Davies putting it forward to the Swedish international. Kulusevski again wriggles it towards the touchline. Burst in field from Kieran Trippier. Then he carries it away from Grimaresh. He's got a runner down the right-hand side. Prods it forward down that flank to Pape Matar Sarr. Still with it to Kulusevski again. Back to Sarr, who's forced backwards towards the halfway line. 0-0, 2 minutes played. And here is Destiny Udogie.
Yeah, the ball across the pitch from left to right-hand side there. Just didn't quite have enough pace on it from Kulusevski feeding Sarr, so the momentum of the attack was just slightly lost. And Newcastle were able to regroup, and there's a foul on former Spurs fullback Kieran Trippier down in the left-hand corner.
Left Spurs for Spain, went to Atletico Madrid, came back to Newcastle United almost 2 years ago now, January of 2022, England international. Obviously part of that run to the Champions League final with Tottenham Hotspur back in 2019. This his 70th start for Newcastle this afternoon. It will be Dubravka in for Nick Pope. He's going to be out for months. Just one of well, they reckon up to a dozen Newcastle United players missing through injury at this moment in time. The list is pretty extensive, Bradley. Jacob Murphy, Dan Burn, Callum Wilson's back actually, as is Longstaff, but there is a huge list of players still missing for both of these teams. It has been a rather attritional season already, as Ben Davies rolls it back to Vicario into midfield. Grimaresh wins the header. It's Bissouma allows Porro to take it away. Now he sweeps it out wide towards Pape Matar Sarr, and ahead of him down that right-hand side, just dabbed back to him on the halfway line by Brennan Johnson. 3 minutes gone, 0-0. Took a bit of time to get the atmosphere going, Bradley, and people to get their seats for this 4:30 Sunday afternoon kick-off. And here is Bissouma inside the centre circle for Spurs. Son on the left-hand side, sweeping it forward, little back heel. It's Richarlison, tries to smuggle a shot away. Does he get a second bite of the cherry? No, he doesn't. Goes to ground inside the 18-yard box. He's holding his head. Up to his feet he comes as Spurs are going to attack again down that right-hand side. Smashed in cross, which actually hits Brennan Johnson from Pedro Porro's cross. And out of play, it dribbles for a goal kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, fast combination. Centre field towards the edge of the Newcastle penalty box there from Spurs. Little flick, clever one from Udogie, and he sort of spun on the ball. Credit to Guimaraes, who come back and blocked it. He spun up, might have struck an arm, but certainly not a free kick or penalty there. He was off balance, wasn't he? It was a good challenge by the Newcastle midfielder, who's an outstanding player. And from Porro's cross, it went off of Johnson and out for a goal kick.
Guimaraes in midfield again for Newcastle United. Finished 4th last season, of course, and they try and prod it up the left-hand side. That's going to dribble out of play, though, from Tino Livramento's burst, and it'll be a throw-in which Spurs have already taken. No time to dawdle on the ball. Here's Ben Davies. Scored the last time Spurs beat Newcastle, and in a thumping win here 5-1 2 seasons ago. And here's Richarlison inside the penalty area. Did it take a deflection as he skies it out of play? Yes, it does. It's a corner kick to Spurs, first of the game on the left-hand side.
Brilliant move. Tottenham's left-hand side, first time touch from Son. Kulusevski slipped the ball through left side of the box, and the defender come across as Richarlison struck it with his weaker foot. Our referee, Mr. Kavanagh, wasn't completely sure. He took his time with regards to the deflection, but it's a corner. Porro will take this in-swinger. Fantastic noise inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
24-year-old Pedro Porro will take the corner kick, right-footed in-swinger, 6-yard box. Scored from a corner midweek against West Ham, and they've still got the ball inside the 6-yard box. Newcastle have scrambled it away somehow. Christian Romero, of course, got that opener against West Ham, although the Hammers came back in the second half to get the 2-1 victory. But here comes Spurs again. Pape Matar with the cross, headed away to Davis, who tries to strike it. Bobbled the shot, really, and it's been hacked clear towards the halfway line. But Udogie's going to continue the pressure, slipping it into Newcastle territory. Back it goes to Romero. The Argentinian international is going to flick it down the right-hand touchline. Brennan Johnson tries to spin in behind Livramento down that right-hand side. Shuffles it forward to Porro. Drives it across. Here comes Son, gathered by goalkeeper Dubravka, diving at his feet, and he bowls it out wide immediately to the right-hand side, and Newcastle try and break, and it's absolutely sort of breathless stuff at the moment, Bradley.
It is. Tottenham are really started very, very brightly. Exactly the same to Thursday night here in the London derby against West Ham. But that will just give some encouragement for Newcastle if they can withstand it, because they can pick the ball up, build, have possession and break themselves, because they have dynamism in their attack.
Here's a danger man. Anthony Gordon pushes it forward. It's going to be cut back maybe by Joel Linton to the edge of the penalty area. Guimaraes arrives and strikes it with the outside of the boot just over the bar. Really nice setup from Joel Linton, and Bruno Guimaraes knows how close that was, with a really well-crafted opportunity for Newcastle. 0-0.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Joel Linton from Gordon's slip pass left half space of Spurs' penalty box was offside, but he took his time, he cut it back. Guimaraes in support, sliced across the ball, and it was only a yard over Vicario's crossbar.
Actually, that was a very, very clever hit, because by just slicing across it, you're just bending it away.
Faded it like a golf shot, didn't he?
Well, not my golf shot. I couldn't do that with a golf shot, Bradley. I just, if it happens, it's more by luck than judgment.
Bit of shape on the effort there.
If I just keep it on my fairway, I'm lucky. Spurs win a throw-in off Anthony Gordon. No, it came off Richarlison last, so says Chris Kavanagh, the referee. Simon Bennett, Daniel Robatten, his assistants. Tommy Bramall is the 4th official, and Peter Banks is back at base in Stotley Park watching the video. Hopefully he's watching this video rather than a Christmas video, as it's kept in. Is it on the right-hand side of the Newcastle United defence by Destiny Udogie? No, it's not. Fielded by Ange Postecoglou. Relatively unflappable on the sidelines, though, the Australian, who took Australia to the World Cup, of course, and winning an Asian Cup, as well as winning the treble with Celtic north of the border. Clipped into midfield. Joel Linton brings it under control. Quick ball over the top. Was Gordon onside or offside? Well, the flag stays down. Here goes Anthony Gordon into the penalty area. Crosses it across to Isaac. That's brilliant defending, Ben Davies. Davis slides in and forces Isaac to put it out of play for the goal kick. I wondered whether Gordon was offside anyway, but the Welsh captain had to scuttle back to put the Swede under pressure. He was in his own half, which is why he was onside.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, if Davies' touch that should have been a Newcastle corner, Phil, if it's not offside.
I think it came off Isaac last, if we look at the replay.
Davies onto Isaac,
yeah.
Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, off his shin. What a touch from Ben Davies. Fantastic recovery run from him. So open, this football match.
It's crazy. Papa Matasar booms forward down the right-hand side. Brennan Johnson, talking of Welsh internationals, has it. Rolls it into midfield. Here's Pedro Porro now. A lot of flexibility where fullbacks pop up at the moment. It's become a trend, isn't it, Bradley, in many respects, from a coaching point of view, to have that circulation with fullbacks who drop into midfield. Here's Basuma, Davis on the halfway line. We've played 9 minutes here, and as you say, Bradley, it's been such an open game so far, and the turquoise-booted Romero is in possession on the halfway line.
Well, you mentioned about the fullbacks for Spurs, the actual positions that they advance and pick up. Phil, I'll come back to you because Spurs have got it on the right.
With Porro, point to the penalty area that Newcastle defend, goes out wide to Brennan Johnson, and here's Romero.
They're almost that advanced. They almost play like in number 10 positions, yes. Don't they?
It's crazy.
They're advanced. They're beyond Basuma, and then Sarr and Kulusevski play even higher themselves on the.
Well, very central as well, as you say. Kulusevski and Son are wide of where Destiny Udogie currently is, who's playing more of a central midfield role at this moment in time. It's scooped out wide by Vicario. Now Richarlison will chase over this hook over his shoulder by Pedro Porro. Out from his 18-yard box comes Dubravka. He's going to bring it under control. He's going to loop it clear. Straight down the throat, though, of the Spurs defence. Dubravka, 34-year-old, only his 3rd start of the season. Obviously, Nick Pope was the preferred starter, the England goalkeeper, but shoulder surgery, out for months. Bradley, with the European Championships, of course.
Yeah.
That will be something that will be of concern to him. Here is Son for Spurs. Kulusevski wearing that face mask over the halfway line, darting towards the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Udogie's wide. Still with it, breaks towards the byline, wins the corner off Kieran Trippier. No.
I think it hit his own foot.
Yeah. And that's what squirted it out of play for the goal kick to Newcastle. 11 gone, Bradley. Really pacey opener to this game.
It certainly has been. I think something that Spurs can keep working, keep practicing is, you know, in the wide areas especially, that final ball, Phil, you know, for all the quality that they've shown, where they overload it, these short, clever, incisive passes, centre field and towards the edge of their opponent's 18-yard box. When it does go wide, can they find that cross to go in? And having, you know, Richarlison as your 9, more focal point of the attack, who can attack the ball and head it, it's another option as well, another string to your attacking bow.
Everton 1-0 up against West Ham in the WSL as Joe Linton spoons it away up in the air for Lascelles to pluck out of the air. For Newcastle United, the Derby-born former Nottingham Forest trainee. 216th start today for Newcastle United as Kulusevski goes in rather hard on Shah, who's taken a knock, and the referee says maybe he might need a little bit of attention. The 31-year-old Swiss international, just a rattle on the back from Kulusevski, pushed over.
Hey, we got pressed, didn't he?
Maybe
off
landed
balance,
a bit
and he just sort of booted the ball up the pitch, fell a little bit awkwardly. He probably actually bit of gamesmanship as well, just to try and for a few seconds ball out of play, kill the momentum of this game slightly.
Played for Switzerland at the 2012 Olympics, did Shah, born in Ville in Switzerland, as it goes back to Ben Davis, born in Neath in South Wales. Through the ranks, of course, it's Swansea. Ben Davis now wearing the captain's armband. They've got a couple of playoff games, or at least one, if not two, to get to the European Championships of Wales, as Guimaraes cuts it out in midfield. Here go Newcastle United again. It's chipped over the top for Isaac to chase. On the halfway line, Miley is dispossessed by Udogie, who flicks it in field, and that's Romero, who shuffles it back out wide to his left back. Here's Basuma. It's impressed Basuma, impressed again at times on Thursday night. The Spurs have worked it into midfield, and Udogie gets caught by Grimaresh, and the referee didn't want to give the free kick initially.
Yeah,
he wanted
fair
to play on.
Yeah.
But he couldn't regain his balance, Udogie, so Chris Kavanagh blows his whistle.
Just stumbled and couldn't quite pick himself up because there was a bit of space there. Spurs had played in their left-back position through a tight area of the pitch and then central.
Played a little bit blind over the top, and Newcastle have come away with it, and they're going to push down the left-hand side, and infield it comes to Joe Linton. Great pressure from Pape Matar Sarr, but the referee says that's a free kick.
Not sure. Joe Linton's not happy. Come on the blind side of him, didn't he, Sarr there? Maybe kicked his left ankle.
Well, we'll hear from David Moyes at half-time. I did play Moyes Bingo, Bradley, and I asked over under 30 seconds before Thursday's Sunday football will be referenced. We will play that bingo at half-time.
But last Thursday wasn't a European game, and they play against one of their bitter rivals, and actually got a great win and performance here, didn't they, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Here comes Anthony Gordon down the left-hand side for Newcastle United. Great defensive work from Pedro Porro.
Oh, they're out,
through to Richarlison. Now Son's bursting forward. He finds it. Here comes the South Korean international into the penalty area. Little step over. Dawdled on the ball just a little bit too long, and it's allowed Newcastle. Oh, and then he wins the ball and he levers it away with the arm. Going to ground, rolling around is Almiron.
He does do that, Almiron.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of contact. He recovered very well, the Newcastle winger, to sort of stop Son's effort just as he got in the penalty box. He sort of brushed his right arm into him, didn't he? And cuffed him across his left cheek.
It's not really
much.
A throw of the elbow or the arm. It's just a, as you say, it's a shrug. It's
Hulk
a shrug
Hogan
away, isn't it?
Be disappointed with that manoeuvre, Phil, wouldn't he?
Hulk Hogan, yeah. Paul Hogan definitely would have been disappointed with it. Old Crocodile Dundee. You know, do you remember coming up to Burnley? There was a guy who used to sit near the press box at Burnley, looked a spit of Paul Hogan. Do you remember him and his family?
Yeah.
And then he spoke and it'd be like, "Here, lad." And you think, yeah, it's not Paul Hogan.
Good refereeing. Did well there, Mr. Kavanagh.
It was probably a foul.
Oh, well played.
Skill from Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side, though. Spurs attacking again. Pape Matar Sarr's in the penalty area, headed away by Trippier. Recycled by Pedro Porro on that point to the 18-yard box. Romero now has it. It really is non-stop, isn't it, Ange ball? And Newcastle United like to play that way as well, but Spurs are trying to create, and they plop it out wide towards that right-hand touchline. Porro now has it, steps towards the byline, dinks out across onto the roof of the net, took a deflection. Second corner of the game for Spurs.
Well, it's almost an identity game to Thursday.
Yeah.
You know, Spurs have been excellent.
They have.
Great watch, thrilling football, full throttle, attack at every opportunity with speed. Just the final ball, the final pass, the finish has not quite just been there yet. Can they get it? Corner here.
17 minutes gone. Porro's going to be an outswinger from him this time. He created the goal for Romero midweek. He's got looking for Romero again. He heads it. This time it's scooped off the goal line by Miguel Almiron. And now winning it is Grimaresh on the halfway line, but Spurs win it back. Kulusevski. Almiron manages to flick it away. Thought it should have been a Newcastle throw. Instead, it's been given the way of Spurs. Taken by Son. Here is Yves Bissouma drifting infield, halfway inside the Newcastle half of the pitch. In front of the centre circle, he finds Pape Matar Sarr. The same trick. Romero up, looking for his fourth goal of the season. But this time it was cleared off the goal line. Spurs will just manage to jab it back towards Bissouma. Come on, you Spurs, the cry from the home fans. Bissouma turns it around the corner. The flamehead Swedish international Kulusevski just rolls it back and then goes for the return forward ball from Romero, and then it's hoiked away by Fabian Schär. Out of play for a Spurs throw. The throw-in's taken so quickly, Bradley.
Yeah, it's relentless, isn't it?
Straight onto the pitch.
You know, the speed, recirculating the ball, getting it back on the pitch, onto the playing surface. Quick passes from Tottenham Hotspur here.
Newcastle have scored 13 and conceded 13 on their travels. And here comes Kulusevski inside the penalty area. Brennan Johnson waits. Can he just check it back maybe to Son? There's too many Newcastle players around him. Kieran Trippier gets a little kick on the base of the foot as he clears it away. Kulusevski into Son again. Sizes up shooting options. Rolls it to Bissouma. Porro calls for it on the right-hand side of the Spurs attack. Angled out wide to the Spaniard. Back it comes to Bissouma again. Being forced backwards now by the Newcastle defenders who are defending in a bank of 5 and 4. Here is Udogie, rolls it to the left and he finds Ben Davies. On that left-hand touchline, it's Son, drives in field now, finds Kulusevski again, dabs it to Bissouma. Bissouma just manages to shear it away from Miley, and Spurs are just turning the ball into the path of their own teammates. Son again from Davies down the left-hand side, delivers a cross. It's just beyond Richarlison and gathered by Dubravka.
Great football. That's better. Early cross. Fed and wound around the back of the defence, and Son on this left-hand side, and he tried to slide in. Maybe could have gone a split second earlier, Richarlison, to get contact on that and divert it past Dubravka.
Celtic beaten 2-1 by Kilmarnock, by the way, north of the border earlier today. 0-0 here at this moment in time. Spurs dominating possession, 74%, 4 efforts, none on target so far. But that last one won't even count as an effort on goal, because obviously there was no contact made. So it just shows you the chances are half chances, Bradley. And I don't want
to clear cut yet, Phil.
No. Here's Trippier. Got a nice warm hand, I think, Kieran Trippier, when he came out, didn't he, when his name was mentioned by Paul Coyte on the PA here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Richarlison closes down on Jamal Lascelles. That'll be a throw in the right-back berth for Newcastle United. Dark night skies.
Well, penny for the thoughts of the opposing manager, actually, Eddie Howe, and probably a bit like David Moyes. He'll be thinking to himself, 20 minutes gone, can we withstand him?
Yeah.
You know, they're almost dropping back in, banking in, aren't they? Nudge from Kulusevski there. Angel Mares deep inside the Newcastle half of the pitch. And then possibly Spurs into the second half, and maybe if he can put some fresher reinforcements on in the second Newcastle, then they might be able to, just like West Ham, get something in the second half of this game.
Dubravka being forced backwards. Kulusevski just conceding the free kick.
But actually, for all told, Phil, they actually probably have had the best chance, haven't they? Where Davies defending the Gordon cross brilliantly.
The Spurs fans feel that Dubravka is taking a little bit too long with this. Clears it. Isak hasn't had much in this so far. Slipped away by Spurs. Here's Richarlison, dabs it towards Pape Matar, who drives towards the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. And again, Brennan Johnson looks for Richarlison. It's just beyond the Brazilian out of play.
So fast.
Goal kick.
It's almost sort of too hard, if anything, the Johnson cross, isn't it? Sarr to Johnson. He was on the move. One intention, to put it in that corridor between defence and goalkeeper. And as a striker, they sometimes feel you just got to gamble. And almost throw yourself at a ball if it's travelling that quickly. Crowd are telling the referee Dubravka's taken an age.
Well, they reckon
every restart.
34-year-old is just eking out as many seconds as he possibly can. It's wafted out wide towards Livramento on the left-hand touchline for Newcastle United. He's forced backwards, dabs it towards Shah, who's given it away. Good pressure from Spurs to win it back. They have it with Sarr. Here's Bissouma. He looks for Romero on the halfway line. 22 and a bit minutes gone. Spurs come away with it in midfield. Destiny Udogie still with it towards the edge of the penalty area. Slips it forward beyond Kulusevski. Guimaraes has gone, I think, no, it's Joe Linton's gone down injured. Meantime, Miley is carrying it forward for Newcastle. He's up against Bissouma. There was a free kick awarded, and Joel Linton may need a bit of attention.
Interesting that, because he probably does have to go to Joe Linton, who's on the floor, but he allowed the attack to carry on, Phil, didn't he? Spurs had momentum, and Udogie probably in a good position as he was driving towards the edge of the box, should have shot. He was 17 yards out from goal. He tried to unselfishly reverse the pass into the box to his right-hand side.
Well, well.
I think the Spurs coaching staff are disappointed as well with the fourth official on that decision. I don't even know if Joel Linton actually had any treatment, Phil. He picked himself up, so...
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think he got stood on. I think that's possibly what he said as the ball was going away. There was a clash of legs as Livramento hooks it away over his head for a throw into Spurs in the Newcastle half over on the right-hand side. Croydon-born, Livramento. Portuguese heritage through his dad, Scottish heritage through his mum. And an England under-21 international, Bradley. So there you go, plenty of choice. Eric Dyer could have played for Portugal, having spent enough of his youth there, as here comes Miley again, clips it in field to Almiron. He's just tugged back a little bit by Udogie, and then gets caught late as well as he prods the ball in field, and the referee's given the free kick.
Yeah, clumsy from Romero. Some referees would have yellow carded him for that.
Goal scorer midweek, Christian Romero.
You know, he's a jinky little player, isn't he, Almiron?
Yeah.
Carries the ball, changes direction.
He's up to his feet. He's
free
right.
kick.
Not a lot, really. They just sort of ran into each other. He made a meal of the fact that he'd been clattered into, but he's up to his feet like a spring lamb who hears that there's fresh grass in the pasture. And it will be a free kick to Newcastle United, who have yet to register a shot on target, but had a very good chance earlier in this first half. Trippier will take it, going to clip it towards the far post. Lascelles is there, brings it under control, but it runs away from him out of play for a goal kick to Tottenham.
Well, he just collided as he's gone off the run-off of the edge of the box behind the Spurs goal there.
It's gone back to...
So he got a knock on his thigh, I think. Spurs fans wanted a quick restart while they had the numerical advantage, and Lo Celso sort of striding back to goal, and Spurs are breaking forward themselves.
Yeah, here is Spurs with Pape Matar Sarr, Kieran Trippier with the header away. It was that end as well, at the south end of the ground, wasn't it? Late on, where Kulusevski went sliding into the advertising hoardings. I think that's why he's got the face mask on today.
Yeah.
It is a danger, and when you've got a camber like that, it makes it even more dangerous. As here's Udogie again, very central. Son out wide on the left-hand side of the Newcastle penalty area. Still with it now, the South Korean. Little scamper forward, left footed into the 6-yard box, and bundled in. Tottenham Hotspur eventually break the deadlock, and Destiny Udogie scores. Son with the creation. Destiny Udogie lances himself at the ball and drives it into the back of the net with no one to stop him. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 0.
Well, Udogie in that central position again, a reverse pass between the lines, but what he did well, when it went wide on Tottenham's left to Son, brilliant 1v1 to the byline. He kept running and he got inside the 6-yard box to finish from close range to give Spurs a deserved lead. Super goal.
First goal for the club. Destiny Udogie celebrating with his teammate Son with the assist. And Spurs have a deserved lead, Bradley Allen, in this game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium after 25 minutes.
They've been excellent, Phil, haven't they, at the start of this game? You know, they've correctly cleared their heads from the disappointment of the Thursday London derby, and that second half, that's gone, that's in the past. And this performance again continues to epitomise what this Australian manager wants from his Tottenham Hotspur team. Go for it, attacking football, brilliant watch.
Now what the fans want is they want a second goal, just to give a little bit of daylight, because that's been the problem, hasn't it, in recent weeks, is getting that second goal, and they've pressurised the ball and won it back. And here goes Pape Matar Sarr again, delivers a cross almost to Son, cleared away. Guimaraes is beaten to the ball by, this time, Yves Bissouma, who dribbles his way inside the penalty area, forced out wide by Guimaraes. He's got some support. Pedro Porro's a long way behind him. Newcastle have won it back, and Anthony Gordon runs it clear, but Newcastle's away form is what worries their manager. 4 defeats already, and then a foul Johnson on Guimaraes, and it will be a free kick for Newcastle to clear their lines.
But I think when you do get a breakthrough and you just sort of get that smell of opportunity, Phil, you know, with the play and the performance, got to take advantage of that.
Almiron prods it forward. Here's Miley, whips in across. Spurs haven't really dealt with it. Falls for Gordon, touches it back. Joel Linton drives it. This time it is a block, which puts it out of play for a first.
Yeah,
Newcastle
good cross actually.
Basuma.
It's sort of curled away from goal. He advanced young Miley down the right-hand side, and he didn't quite move his feet quick enough to the pace of the cross. Pedro Porro, it skidded. It was set perfectly for Joel Linton. He went for placement. Spurs were able to get in the way, but Newcastle corner, they're dangerous from here. They have some tall players.
Yeah, Almiron will take it. Forward comes Shah and Lascelles into the 6-yard box. Gordon is inside that 18-yard box as well, as is Isak. Guimaraes is at the near post, goes into the centre of the goals, up in the air from Richarlison, and the referee spotted some pushing and shoving. Free kick, Tottenham Hotspur, they can clear their lines. Excuse me, 28 and a half minutes played, 1-0.
Body checked a little bit there, didn't he, Vicario?
The referee is unhappy with where the free kick was taken, and so it's going to come all the way back, despite the fact it was chipped out wide to Brennan Johnson.
He's probably a few yards ahead of where it should be, where the actual foul was. And then, look, Vicario's just took it in the same position as what Romario's done.
Goes back to Vicario. Here's Ben Davis. Slips it infield to Basuma. Runners ahead of him. Left-hand side, he finds Dejan Kulusevski. Tickles it towards Son on the left-hand side. Back to Davis. Half hour almost reached now. Is Romero in possession. Slides it towards the halfway line.
Oh, what a touch.
Beautifully done by Pedro Porro. Here's Kulusevski out on the right-hand side. Brennan Johnson's got players calling for it. Delivers in towards the near post, and attacking that was the forward run of Pape Matar, and he squirts it wide.
Son's just having a little bit of a go at Richarlison, I think, because Tottenham had a huge overload at the back post. Sweeping move, clever flick and touch that broke the midfield line for Porro. Out to Johnson, another really hard cross, and he just couldn't get the connection, could he? Papassar had arrived from midfield. Spurs had a 3v1 there inside the penalty box, and Big Ange knows that that was probably their best chance of this half.
Trippier flicks
should have been a second, Phil.
Almiron comes to try and put pressure under Ben Davis, who scoops it away down the left-hand side of Spurs' attack, and then Kulusevski forces Lascelles to ping it out of play. Took a deflection off Kulusevski for a Newcastle throw. Actually, a little leave from Pape Matar, and Richarlison was in. Maybe that's what Son was saying. He should have shouted for it more, I'm not sure, but as you say, Bradley, it was a great opportunity. Gordon down the left-hand side now for Newcastle, who trail Spurs by a goal to nil. Here's Miley jabbing it back into Guimaraes. Out on the right-hand side, it's Trippier for the visitors. Touches it infield again, but that's Richarlison's come all the way back.
Oh, well played.
And then races clear of Trippier and slips it towards Son on the halfway line, and then he'll run it out of play.
Such a shame, because if he'd have towed it on the outside of Lascelles, so down Spurs left, and kept it on the pitch, Tottenham are away again. The speed of that counter-attack was almost perfect.
It's Newcastle with Lascelles. Seems none the worse for that little bump he had with the advertising hoardings away to our right-hand side at the south end of the ground. Chip towards Trippier on this near touchline. Guides the header in field, this Kieran Trippier. Spurs have come away with it. Kulusevski can't keep it in. Just bounced out and out of play for a throw-in. 24 Premier League wins each between these two. In Premier League encounters, 8 draws. 1-0 Spurs lead this one at this moment in time. Were doubled last season, did the double the season before against Newcastle United. Newcastle heading, of course, towards finishing 4th on that occasion. Spurs finishing outside Europe for the first time since, what, 2008, Bradley? Curve towards this near touchline for Kieran Trippier. Dinks it forward over the top again, looking for the run of Isak, who's got a bit of a solitary figure. Almiron puts Destiny Udogie, the goal scorer for Tottenham, under a little bit of pressure, but not enough. He's able to peel away from them. A back pass from Davis. This Vicario, just a little bit of a hurry-up need, and then Udogie is wrestled of possession of the ball. It bounces off Almiron. No handball given. Guimaraes now looking for Gordon. Headed away though. Romero is alert to the danger. And here's Pape Matar slipping it out wide to Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side. He cuts in field, the former Nottingham Forest youngster. Getting it again. Oh, he's given it straight to Isak. And here come Newcastle United with Gordon, who's got Almiron breaking beyond him. He strikes it left-footed, and Vicario makes the save. But that could have been very costly.
Yeah.
They undid themselves with West Ham's winner on Thursday.
Very much so.
And that could have been a similar
initially did well, Brennan Johnson, but he come across the pitch and he just completely made the wrong choice and option. And it was turned over, and on transition, Newcastle were on the money and let Tottenham off the hook.
Kulusevski to Son, left-hand side. Kulusevski makes the run beyond him, slipped in towards Richarlison. Son was going for it.
Yeah,
Kieran
clever.
Trippier has to turn it out and play
go inside the box.
But an offside flag's gone off anyway. So it wouldn't have counted, Bradley, but some good football.
30-odd minutes of football we've had. Premier League at its very best, Phil, isn't it?
Really is breathless stuff, isn't it? 34 gone, 1-0 Spurs. Lascelles in possession for Newcastle. Seeing a replay of him clattering into that board as Almiron on this near touchline. What a throw-in off Ben Davies. And a throw-in which will be taken by Trippier, who jogs forward in order to take it. Former Manchester City youth team player. Went to Burnley. Joined Spurs from Burnley in 2015. Before leaving for Atletico Madrid after that Champions League final with Tottenham Hotspur. Here's Gordon down the left-hand side, gets it back with a bit of fortune from a little ricochet from Pedro Porro. Joel Linton now in control of it, finding Lewis Miley, the youngster in midfield for Newcastle United. Lascelles has got Trippier on the right-hand side, angled out wide to him, pushes it forward, surely an offside against Almiron.
Yeah, too early on his run.
Free kick goes Spurs his way.
A little bit better from Newcastle, just sort of enjoying some build-up, some possession, and forcing Tottenham to defend a little bit deeper.
Well, as we said at the head of the game this afternoon, really, that only 4 worse away teams in the Premier League this season than Newcastle United. Picked up just 5 points. And they are trailing here by a goal to 0. A rolling ball means that the free kick's going to have to come back for Bissouma to flick it into Sarr in midfield, and he's going to curl it out wide towards the right-hand side. Touch back by Brennan Johnson to Pedro Porro. And here we go again, Bradley. Spurs attacking. 10 minutes to go before the break. Pape Matar straying forward. He's going to dink it towards the left-hand side, and Son, Trippier's there, guides the header down. One back though by Udogie, loses possession inside the penalty area.
Yeah, done well from Trippier's header from the diagonal from Sarr. Udogie picked up the second ball, he nudged it in the box. Credit to Lascelles on the cover.
Miley, back heel, puts it straight out of play. Another Spurs throw. There's a ball waiting to be taken. So the one that's rolled over, the whitewash doesn't have to be retrieved, and Spurs are already in action again. Here's Davis, halfway line. That took a deflection off Almiron, brought under control by Son, who set up the goal that has given Spurs the lead with 9 minutes to go before the break. Udogie with it. Here now is Pedro Porro. Scuttling back to trying to put him under pressure is Anthony Gordon, who has Brennan Johnson running rings around him. Touched in field to Porro. Johnson again. It was a fair tackle, so says the referee. He was in close attendance. Spurs, though, have it. And Romero's over on that right-hand side. Little drag back heel towards Pape Matar. Exchanges a parcel 2 with Bissouma, then 3. Destiny Udogie on the edge of the centre circle, drops the shoulder. Newcastle just coming out of their shell a little bit, and they've won the ball on the halfway line. Kramaric, though, is dispossessed twice, and Spurs have it with Bissouma. Richarlison making a run ahead of him. Kieran Trippier has to stretch to head it clear of Son, but he can only guide it into the South Korean's path. And here he goes again, down near the byline. He's got away from Trippier, cuts it back to Richarlison! And he has his second league goal of the season. Spurs have their second goal of the game. Heung-min Son with both assists, and Tottenham Hotspur's pressure pays off, and they now do put daylight between them and the opponents. It's Spurs 2, Newcastle United 0.
What a goal. Totally dominant performance. And I think the thing is, Phil, I'm not sure in many a year I've seen a group of Tottenham Hotspur players play with such confidence and belief in what their manager is encouraging them to do. Yes, off the back of some disappointing results recently, but the noise inside this stadium, Richie on the score sheet, 2-0, amazing, brilliant football.
He has found goals hard to come by. Last season, of course, like so many, Bradley really brought in as a player that could play along the line behind Harry Kane, maybe, but an understudy to Harry Kane. This season, he's had that slight groin problem, did score in the League Cup, but Spurs went out. It's his second Premier League goal of the campaign, and there was big celebrations on the sideline. 6.5 to go before the break, Spurs 2-0 up. There's a real sense of excitement and anticipation that this 5-game winless streak could well come to an end this afternoon here, Bradley, and there's more goals in this game. Newcastle look a little jaded, Bradley.
Yeah, they do. They do. Phil, playing that style and training that way, it can, and where the squad as well is stretched. You know, some of these players are not completely up to speed with some of this. They're sort of getting used to it.
Here they go again, Spurs. Brennan Johnson to Porro. Richarlison slipping it in towards Kulusevski. Gets the ball stuck under his feet, still with it. Little drag out wide towards Son on the left-hand side of the area. Will he cut it infield for a shot, maybe? He rolls it towards Pedro Porro. Shoot goes the cry, he tries to. It's just been clipped away by Joe Linton. And then that comes off the boots of Pedro Porro, out of play on the far touchline for a Newcastle throw. But Newcastle, at the moment, Bradley, you used the boxing analogy on Thursday. I'm going to use it again. They look like a boxer at the moment, who are deep into the 3rd minute of the round, waiting for the bell to give them a chance to sit down and have a little bit of refreshment.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure that where I've waxed lyrical about what Eddie Howe's done is they tend to physically, athletically run all over teams. Tottenham have played sublime, swift, incisive football, but they've run all over them from a physical standpoint. I've not seen that against a Newcastle team by many Premier League teams.
Isak penalised for making a back for Christian Romero. Free kick to Spurs. Jason Tindall having a chat with Eddie Howe. Tindall, who stayed on at Bournemouth briefly after Eddie Howe had left, but didn't last that long. A few seem to, actually, since Eddie Howe's left, Bradley. It's been quite a quick change, isn't it? But the current manager is across towards Kulusevski's, headed away by Kieran Trippier inside the penalty area. One back, though. Here's Brennan Johnson, thought about striking a goal as he goes just wide.
Well, he struck it clean. The Newcastle defence were backing off. Joe Linton wanted a foul because it bounced and Sarr towed it away from him, sort of waist height, and it come to the Welshman, struck it across goal with venom. A fierce drive there with his right foot.
Whew, it was close. That was
nearly
close.
kissed the left post, didn't it?
Let's look at this angle. This will show you how close it was.
Whoa, it did. It did kiss the post.
Wow. Could have been 3, Bradley. Could have been game over, couldn't it? We saw Fulham go 3-0 up in the first half against West Ham United, and we could be in that situation here. Kulusevski dispossessed, though, by Lewis Miley. Played back. Newcastle had turned over possession. Kulusevski inside the penalty area, and it's straight into Pravka. Eddie Howe and his coaching staff at the moment,
well, they need half-time.
Massively.
They need some refreshment. They're probably going to need some changes with one eye on the Champions League next week.
Spurs are just pressing. They're not giving Newcastle a moment's rest. There's Almiron down the right-hand side. Rolls it back to Guimaraes. Over the top for Isaac. Is he offside? Isak is inside the penalty area. Gets away from one challenge. Still with the ball at his feet. Pushes it behind. Oh. How many touches?
You know as well, Phil, when the ball is played there, and it's an excellent pass over the top, we can see, listen, we've got the best seat in the house, our vantage point. The assistant, bless him, he's not even up with play. He's got it right, and he did flag, but he's not even up with play when the pass is played. Isak was 1.5 yards in an offside position. But it's dangerous, because Romero come across and he made a crunching challenge on Isak as well.
But we saw one on Thursday where Bowen, I think, probably bent his run. You think likewise, bent his run perfectly.
Yeah.
Flag went up and didn't even give him the chance.
No.
And we think he might have been onside.
Yeah, he probably was.
So
running
why
from
did the
his own
flag go
half
up so quickly there? I don't know, Bradley. Here come Newcastle, looking to try and reduce the rears before the break, but Spurs have won it back, and now they're going to power forward, and Son has pace, bursting over the halfway line. Kulusevski to his left, he fancies a goal. No, he rolls it to Kulusevski, palmed away by the goalkeeper, and as it goes in the air, Richarlison throws himself at it, and it's gone out of play for a corner kick.
How Richarlison hasn't scored. The speed that Son and Kulusevski went at the Newcastle defence. They must have been 70 yards out from the goal. The turbos are on. Lovely soft overload. Kulusevski across goal, little deflection, and he dived, didn't he, almost belatedly there, Richarlison.
Yeah.
And from 2 yards out, he couldn't. Off the top of his blonde hair, nudged that one in. Corner Spurs.
This could be 4 before the break, Bradley, couldn't it? Here comes Porro, corner kick, looking for Romero. Richarlison with a header met straight by Dubravka, and he bowls it out wide towards Kieran Trippier. Newcastle this trying to stretch the game. Straight out of play for Kieran Trippier. A minute plus added on time to go at the end of this first half. Ange Postecoglou doesn't want this first half to end, Bradley. 2-0 Spurs lead.
Fabulous stadium, Phil, and games here in recent times, and we've been very lucky to watch a few. I'm not sure I've seen Spurs play any better, Phil.
No.
Have you, in a half of football?
No.
In the lead, 2 goals, could have been more. They've been brilliant.
Richarlison hugged to the ground by Kieran Trippier. Free kick awarded by Chris Kavanagh. 30 seconds plus added on time to go. There's been a couple of injuries, couple of goals. 3, maybe?
Yeah.
2 or 3. It's
not
more
much.
than 1. More than 1, I would have thought. Basuma plays it around the corner. It's guided back to Dubravka by Livramento. Headed away though. Whoops, it's not headed away by Joel Linton, and up in there it goes, and Anthony Gordon's going to go scampering after this, and Newcastle United have a chance maybe with time ticking away to create an opportunity, but that's brilliant tracking back by Pape Matar, and then he gets away from Anthony Gordon and steams it towards Brennan Johnson, who spins in behind Livramento. Has it gone out of play? No, it's not. Richarlison though can't bring it under control. 3 minutes of added on time to be played at the end of this first half. Smeared out wide towards Almiron, away from him and out of play. That was half a chance on that far touch. I wonder if Johnson
a lapse
thought
of
he'd gone out of play.
concentration. The ball was just pumped straight down the middle of the pitch, and I felt Romero should have headed it, really, Phil, and it sort of broke out to the left-hand side. But credit to the energy, recovery run by Sarr, a clever turn on Gordon there, and Spurs were able to clear their lines.
Alex Neil has been sacked by Stoke City. That's one of the least surprising things to have happened in football in the last few weeks, Bradley. They have been sliding down the table quicker than
just outside the Championship relegation zone, aren't they?
A fattened hog wearing lards. It's chipped out wide towards this near touchline, onto the chest of Kieran Trippier, and he's worked it inside the Spurs penalty area, and they've conceded a corner kick of Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, good tracking from Basuma, clever little half-space run from Miley there. Trippier feeds the ball in with such quality, doesn't he, from the right-hand side. He's getting a good ovation, actually, from the South Stand spectators. The former Spurs fullback, corner Newcastle.
It is a corner which Trippier will take. Again, the central defenders come up from the back from Newcastle United, wearing this dark change kits of theirs with yellow socks. Right-footed from Trippier, smears it towards Lascelles, headed away onto him by Richarlison, and Spurs can try and break. It came off Lascelles from the clearance. That'll be a throw into Tottenham. We've got a minute and 15 seconds to go of this first half. Bradley Allen, Spurs leading by 2-0.
Well, you know, one of the more enjoyable half-time team talks, I'm sure, by Big Ange to his players. When you think of one or two of the disappointing results in recent weeks, similar to the start of the season, you know, pats on the back, really proud. Tottenham have been excellent, really positive. This has been first 45.
And those winless games, they've only scored, you know, the Man City one aside, it's been 1 goal. Took the lead against Chelsea, lost 4-1. Took the lead against Wolves, lost 2-1 late on. Likewise with Villa and West Ham United. Multiple goals, going ahead by multiple goals, important in this game, because really in the second half, Newcastle, if they're going to try and get anything out of this match, are going to have to go for it somewhat, and you wonder what Eddie Howe's viewpoint may be as Anthony Gordon picks up possession. But they say 2-0 is a difficult scoreline. Spurs, though, could redress the balance as Romero nutmegs one, carries into the Newcastle half, touched around the corner by Kulusevski to Richarlison, back to Romero. Now it's Kulusevski again, thought about striking it goalwards, instead finds Son, infield to Romero, 30 yards from goal, dinks it towards Kulusevski, guides it towards Richarlison. His shot goes wide, and the referee Chris Kavanagh says, you know what, we've played 3 and a bit minutes of this second half of added time in the first half. Let's all go and have a cup of tea, shall we? And Spurs get applauded off the pitch, quite rightly so, because their football's been scintillating. Their attacking play has been dangerous, and they've scored twice. A Son with 2 assists, first setting up Destiny Udogie, and then Richarlison, who could have had a second, maybe even 3 in this game so far, Bradley, but at least he's got 1. Newcastle, they had the better opportunity early on with a breakout from Anthony Gordon down the left-hand side, and a super recovering tackle from Ben Davis turned it onto Isak's path, and he could only put it out of play for a goal kick. Spurs 45 minutes away from getting back to winning ways and have been in fine form. It's half-time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Newcastle United 0.
BBC Radio London,
The home of London football.
Well, Bradley, as you say, as a 45 or 48 minutes of football, that was just non-stop, constant pressure from Tottenham Hotspur. It could be more than the 2 that they've actually scored. Newcastle have had 1 or 2 opportunities, but not a lot.
Yeah.
But let's not be greedy. Spurs are deservedly ahead by more than 1 goal.
Yeah, it's a great start for Spurs, but it's just a half of football, comfortably 2-0 up. Some thrilling attacking passages of play, such speed, dynamism and quality in their play, and they did get the goals. Firstly, a first in a Tottenham shirt for Udogie, which was more than deserved, and then brilliant to see Richarlison as well on the score sheet. Spurs have got to try and do the same, I think, for at least the next 15-20 minutes. You said in commentary, and you was absolutely right, probably a third, just where Spurs have been a little bit fragile recently and not winning enough matches. 3 should do it, because Newcastle, you can clearly see, have been run over, really. Their thoughts, their attentions, I think, are a little bit fast forward to next week, because that's a crucial game for them at home in the Champions League up at St James's Park. But Tottenham have been really special, and it's been a pleasure to cover them. And you could sense that with the fans, the way that they almost give them, pretty much all of them, a standing ovation as they come off.
We spoke about it on Friday, actually, looking ahead to the weekend on the Friday programme on BBC Radio London. Said, look, that is the problem. You know, Newcastle have got this game midweek. Spurs now don't have a game until they play. You know, they don't have a midweek game, so therefore they can leave. They're another team that can put everything out there, because they do have this recovery time after the rarity of playing midweek Premier League games, because they don't happen very often. So actually they've now got
a break between the next game. It's a fantastic point that you're making, and that's why Spurs are able to play like they're playing. I know that it's been a shorter time frame, Thursday to this evening's kickoff here on a Sunday evening, but you know, the recovery time, their next game is not until next Friday away at Nottingham Forest. And I sometimes say the timing that you play a team. I think the point that they got against Man City, they just had a little wobble.
Yeah.
They played them at a good time. Maybe not so much West Ham last week, although that could have been similar to this, really, on balance of play, how well Spurs and how good they were first half last Thursday. So, you know, it's come good for them, and now they've got to see this through. You said that, and you're right, they've got to see this through, and I think that'll be the key, the strong message by the manager and the coaching staff at the half-time interval.
Yeah, as Newcastle, I don't know if he's going to make any changes. He's got a couple of potential subs out there warming up for Spurs. You wouldn't, excuse me, have thought that Ange Postecoglou was going to make too many differences to his side at this moment in time, but we never quite know. It is they say it's a difficult scoreline, Bradley, because momentum can swing quite quickly in football. If Newcastle were to get a goal back, then suddenly it just makes everyone feel a bit edgy, especially with the fact that Spurs have gone 5 without winning and have ceded so many points from winning positions this season, and in particular in this recent run. So the first 10-15 minutes of the second half are going to be really quite important.
Yeah, and you know, Spurs' intent to attack and score has not diminished in that run of games where they've lost. It's just been their Achilles heel of keeping a clean sheet. But if they do that now, you know, they send their fans home very, very happy. 7 o'clock this evening with 3 key Premier League points. And they're right in the mix, aren't they, for those European spaces this season?
Yeah, absolutely. With the FA Cup to come against Burnley in early January as well. Don't forget, kicking off very shortly, Harlequins will be taking on Racing 92 in Paris. That's a 5:30 kickoff. 6:45 kickoff. Tottenham Hotspur women against Manchester United is live on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra this evening. So if you want more Tottenham, then that's one way that you can get into your life. Elsewhere today in the European Champions Cup, not the European Champions Cup, let's just call it the Champions Cup in rugby. Sale 28, Stade Francais 5, La Rochelle 19, Leinster 16. What a titanic struggle that is. And Leicester Tigers 35, Stormers 26. In the Challenge Cup today, Newcastle Falcons have been beaten at home by Montpellier by 24 points to 19, and Lions beating Perpignan 28 points to 12 in southern France. Lots of football taking place earlier today for us, though, on BBC Radio London. Let's bring a taste of some of the reaction from our 2 p.m. kickoffs, which saw Fulham romp to a big win over West Ham United and Chelsea lose again on the road.
Another great ball through the middle. Wilson's broken beyond the defensive line. Can he finish? Lays it off. Carlos Vinicius! It's 5! Would you believe it? 5 against Forest on Wednesday. They've repeated the trick here against their London rivals West Ham, and Carlos Vinicius, the latest to benefit. An unselfish layoff from Wilson, who's already scored a blinder, and Vinicius just strokes it in. 2 minutes to go here, and West Ham completely blown away. Fulham 5, West Ham 0.
Great feeling, and could have been even better if you get what we deserve against Liverpool at Anfield. I said after the Wolves game that was a crucial game for us, that is the type of game that is almost compulsory for you to win, to show a reaction. But I said to you and for our players as well that we were growing as a team. The process is getting better and better in their minds. They were understanding much more what we wanted. Some players adapting for our idea as well, the new players that came in. And we are showing that on the pitch. That is the main thing. Of course, that game was crucial, gave the players the confidence that we needed as well. And amazing. It's so difficult to win a game in Premier League 1-0 or 2-1. Imagine to win 2 in a row, 5-0 against very good sides. Of course, last Wednesday everyone is saying, okay, it was Nottingham Forest. They were really bad, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday they showed that they are not so bad like that they get a result away from home. And now we played against a top side that is doing so well. Last Thursday they have beaten in a derby Tottenham. The way they're playing in European competitions, they won the last Conference League as well. Team that is capable to buy players £50 million every time, and the capacity they have, and we did control the game. From the first minute until the last minute, we played the way we wanted, the way we like to do it. It's really tough to do it, the way we did control always West Ham, the way we took the ball from them and we managed the game, and all the praise for the players, the way they did it. We have to think game by game, always to prepare well the players. Let's hope we can keep the health of the squad really well, because our squad is not really long in terms of numbers, not big numbers. Let's hope William is nothing serious this afternoon, because we need all of them ready, because if you start to have injuries, it's much more difficult for us. I think like all the teams at our size.
Well, I think it was a carryover from Thursday, and it's strange that you're saying Thursday. Wish it had been Wednesday or Tuesday like most clubs had got, or like Fulham had got. So look, we didn't perform well, Fulham did. We'd started pretty well in the opening 15-20 minutes, it felt like, and then we gave away a first goal which was ridiculous, which gave them a lift, and it went from bad to worse really.
Did you feel that fatigue played a part, the fact that you had that Fulham had that extra 24 hours that you didn't?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I generally do. We've been having it for week after week, but to do 2 away games in the Premier League, Thursday, Sunday. And I've said recently there, says, look, if you'd given me a point in each game, if I'd drawn at Tottenham and drawn here, I'd have said, pretty good results away from home, not bad. But we've taken 3 points from it. So I'm not disappointed, because the boys put in a great effort on Thursday night. Today, we just didn't have the juice. We've got a bit of illness in the camp over the last couple of days, which hasn't helped.
You made 2 changes. Obviously, one of them was enforced with the absence of Edson Alvarez. Do you sort of feel you could have made more with hindsight?
Well, we had a problem with Emerson had been sick and only came back, arrived this morning, so we said, well, the best idea is to keep him out. There's a couple others, Pablo Fornals as well, for a day had been ill. So we could have maybe made more changes, yeah, but, you know, we're trying to put the team out where we can get a result and balance. I think it was a bit unfortunate that we were given another Thursday-Sunday game, but I don't know who I can complain about to that.
Everton with the corner, Petrovic clears, the follow-up finds the back of the net. Lewis Dobbin, the Everton substitute, has just hammered the ball in. Dobbin has made it 2-0 to Everton. Chelsea are facing a second defeat in 4 days in the Northwest. Everton 2, Chelsea 0.
Maurizio, a 7th Premier League defeat of the season. What do you make of your team's performance?
Reality, that is our reality, but of course, when before deserved, I think today we didn't deserve the defeat. I think we were the better side, but in football, it's about to score and be clinical. We didn't score, we were not clinical in front of the goal, and I think we dominate the game, but on the end you need to be aggressive in the last third, and we were not aggressive.
I can ask you about your selection pre-match, so the experience of Raheem Sterling and Thiago Silva in particular on the bench. What was your reasons for making those changes?
No, I think it's about, we play too many games in the last week, and of course, I think to give the opportunity to another player to perform also.
You referenced the number of games. Can you explain what's the issue with Reece James and your goalkeeper Robert Sanchez having to take them off?
Yeah, Marco Curella also. I think we need to assess the three because they asked for the substitution, and we need to assess. Reece feeling his hamstring, Mark his ankle, and Robert his knee.
That's Mauricio Pochettino and Bradley Allen. 1 second was the David Moyes reference to Thursday, Sunday. Apparently some illness in the camp as well, and he was also unhappy about having to play back-to-back away games. But I would be more sympathetic for Newcastle in that respect, because Newcastle have had to go to Everton and North London. West Ham have had to go to North London and West London. Bit different, that, Bradley.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe some trains, some flights, some coach journeys, or using an Oyster card.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, exactly. Go on the tube. Right, let's just hear quickly from the big derby in the WSL earlier. If you didn't hear it earlier, Arsenal beating Chelsea by 4-1 to go level on points with them. Chelsea still have a slightly better goal difference, but the player of the match, Alessia Russo, caught up with Joe Curry at the final whistle.
Well, Alessia, how do you begin to sum up a performance like that against a team like Chelsea at a packed-out Emirates?
Yeah, I don't think Sundays get much better than that. Great day. I think we started the game really well. We knew we wanted to come out, start positively, and the crowd got behind us from minute one. So, yeah, we worked hard in the week and we were ready for it.
Did it feel like a must-win game before you kicked off?
I think every game is a must-win game for us. We had a tough start to the season, but we knew where we want to go as a team. And yeah, the league is so competitive that you can't take one game off, especially against a team against Chelsea. So yeah, it was a massive game, and we knew we had to be at our A game.
Well, the Blues boss Emma Hayes gave her assessment of both the defeat and her side's performance.
We were too deep in the first half, much too deep, and I think that invited pressure. But we have to be clear, they scored from their first chance, poor from us. Second was a corner where we got bullied and the ball went into a corner space, and it's not an area for our goalkeeper to come and claim. That's 2-0, or at least 2-1 at that point. And then a simple ball in behind our centre-backs, and I thought our problems created meant that it's an uphill battle second half, because then we're committing numbers forward, and then we give away a silly penalty. And fair play to Arsenal. They bullied, they harassed. We didn't compete anywhere. I thought the whole team was poor for us today. And when you play a good team and you're 3-1 down away from home, then 4-1, everything's an uphill battle. I think it was an extremely difficult game to coach.
Spurs coming out for the start of the second half here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Ange Postecoglou, again, he's taken up that stance right on the edge of his coaching box, Brad. He doesn't move around much, does he?
No.
You must have come across him. He seems like an unflappable character.
Yeah, on the occasions I've seen and met him at the training ground, you know, a real gentleman, very polite, always says hello to all members of staff, and he just cuts this relaxed, calm, composed figure, and one that you know, you have the utmost respect for. And I think this performance so far from Spurs and the way that they've gone about their football this season since his appointment, he really has brought a lot of smile back to people's faces, hasn't he? And a lot of belief in this team, this football club again, and it's great to see.
Well, better get off and underway. Can't see any changes made by either coach at half-time. So, Vicario in goal for Spurs, Porro, Romero, Davis and Udogie, Bissouma, Sarr, Kulusevski, Son, Johnson and Richarlison. For Newcastle United, Dubravka in goal, Trippier, Lascelles, Schär and Livramento, Miley, Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Almiron, Gordon and Isak. Spurs leading by 2-0 already into the attack down the right hand side. Brennan Johnson, overlapping run provided by Pape Matar Sarr. Instead it comes in field to Yves Bissouma, slipping it out wide towards Sarr. Johnson again towards the byline, whips in a cross, scooped away by Newcastle for a throw-in down in the corner flag. It's almost as if the half-time didn't happen, Bradley. Straight back into it, Spurs are attacking.
Yeah, swift move down the right. Extra little touch there towards the byline from Johnson and tried to cut it back. I think it's Miley coming across on the cover to knock it out for a throw-in.
Newcastle, though, have won the ball. Isak manages to stray away from the attentions of a couple of Spurs players, and then Guimaraes' header intervenes and can only guide it towards Pape Matar Sarr, who dances towards the left and just pokes it into the path of Ben Davis. Sarr making his, 12th start of the season. Former Mets player, arrived at Spurs a couple of years ago now, Bradley, and really looked really good out there today. That's Richarlison towered over by Fabian Schär, gets a clattered on the back of the head. That's the Brazilian striker. The referee has awarded a free kick to Tottenham.
Yeah, he's quite clever there. He jumped a bit early there, Richarlison, and Schär, as you say, sort of jumped over the top and through the back of Richarlison. Probably was a foul. Took a knock on the back of the neck for his troubles, but he's okay.
Here is the free kick to Tottenham Hotspur, which is played by Romero. Tried to play it quickly. Spurs have lost possession, and Newcastle United have managed to poke it out wide to Almiron down the right-hand side. Wriggles it back towards the halfway line. Spurs get back into their defensive shape. The idea was right from Romero, but then Newcastle were alert to the danger, Guimaraes in particular, and that's a great ball out wide to Trippier on that right-hand side. Almiron make the run beyond him. Trippier looking for an option. Gordon inside the penalty area. Trippier runs round the corner instead. Here is Guimaraes, who's put under pressure by Kulusevski. There are definitely missing Newcastle fans, and I think the train problems getting down from Newcastle have been part of that, Bradley. You can see one or two patches where people aren't occupying the away area. As here now is Miley, up in the air it goes from his intervention. Pape Matar Sarr clears it temporarily for Spurs, who can't get over the halfway line, and Fabian Schär wins it back again. Guimaraes receives from Joe Linton. Now he finds Miley, claims of handball, waved away. Trippier overlapping beyond Almiron. Trippier with the cross, it's blocked behind by Udogie, and that'll be a corner kick to Newcastle over on that right-hand side. But yeah, that's more what Eddie Howe would have wanted to see from his side.
Called it the big switch initially a couple of moments ago from Schär out to Trippier, and since then they've locked Spurs in, much more intent. Bit of noise from those travelling Newcastle fans that have made it here to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and a corner, a threat here from this set play.
Here it comes, right-footed in towards the 6-yard box, headed away this time by Ben Davis. Kulusevski manages to nudge it further clear, but Newcastle recycle possession. Isak down the left-hand touchline, pushes it back to Gordon. Isak has it again. Gordon makes a little dart infield, the former Evertonian. That's a good teasing cross, headed away and has to be cleared by Pedro Porro. Alert to the danger into the Newcastle fans, and a throw in which Newcastle have taken quickly this time. Trippier round the corner from Miley towards Almiron on that far touchline. Now he scampers infield, gets it back and loses possession though to Richarlison, and Spurs can break with Kulusevski. Son powering forward. Kulusevski down the left-hand side. Pape Matar breaking into the penalty area. Kulusevski to Brennan Johnson, nudges a header to Richarlison. Claims of handball against Guimaraes, waved away. Spurs win it back on the halfway line, and Udogie has possession.
Well, much better from Newcastle, forcing the issue. They have to with a 2-0 deficit, but Tottenham broke there. Really powering run from Kulusevski, slid the cross up. Johnson couldn't direct his header in the box to a supporting Spurs player. Game's not been stopped. I don't know if that was handball. Johnson away again.
Brennan Johnson drifts infield, edge of the penalty area, dinks out a cross, headed away. Fabian Schär goes to ground, not sure what he was appealing for there. I don't think there was anything on him as Isak rolls it back towards Schär. Now he's getting booed for simulation. He plays it across his 6-yard box, rather riskily to Lascelles, who pushes it to the right where he finds the former Spurs man Trippier. Here's Guimaraes on the halfway line, carries it into Spurs territory, pushes it into the path of Gordon, who's got away from his marker Pedro Porro. And Ben Davies, and then Romero catches him, and it's a free kick.
Yeah, he was running out of room. It was a good change of pace from Gordon initially, away from Ben Davies on Newcastle's right, and on the cover. Yeah. On the cover, Romario come over and he just nudged former Everton winger in the back. Trippier will whip this free kick in. 3 goals this season for Christian Romero, the 25-year-old born in Cordoba. 75th start for Spurs today. Had that 3-game suspension for the red card in the Chelsea defeat here, of course, where Destiny Udogie was sent off as well in that match. And Nicholas Jackson scored a hat-trick. Free kick for Kieran Trippier to take for Newcastle. 51 minutes played. Steps back. He's going to sweep it in right-footed. Plenty of players to attack. Schär, Isak, Lascelles all in there. It is towards the far post, off the head of a Spurs player. Basuma, I think, Phil, in that near post area. Good delivery. Really dangerous there from Kieran Trippier.
Gordon delivers high this time towards the left-hand side of the Spurs penalty area. Little nudged header down this time for Guimaraes to pick up, and he chips it into the 18-yard box, and Joel Linton wins it on the edge of the 6-yard box. Still has it. Gordon's there in support. Here now, oh dear, is Livramento. That's a big challenge from Richarlison, and it just stops the forward momentum for a while for Newcastle. But they have it again with Almiron down the right-hand side. Trippier beyond him. Trippier's cross towards the far post. Gordon attacking. He was always going to struggle to get that on target, and he loops it into the stand behind the goal away.
Yeah, much better from Newcastle. I expected this at least for 15-20 minutes. They're a team that play with determination and spirit, Phil. They weren't going to just continue following the pattern of Spurs' dominance in the first, and they've pushed Spurs back here. The Spurs need to be a little bit careful that they don't concede the 3rd goal in this game, because it could transform it on its head.
Well, Newcastle have started this second half in a better fashion than they played much of that first half, Bradley, and they have it this time with Fabian Schär, and again it goes forward towards Joel Linton, who manages to wriggle it square to Guimaraes. He's got 2 over on the right-hand side, slight overload. Now it's Trippier into the 6-yard box, and again it's blocked behind by Ben Davies, falling over, conceding a corner kick, and there is a sense of pressure building from the Newcastle fans. Romero's gone down.
Yeah, he just missed the challenge there, didn't he? I think when Joe Linton picked the ball up, I don't know if he got a kick.
Is he holding the top of his ankle?
Right ankle, or he rolled his ankle.
Oh yeah, I think Joe Linton just caught him.
Yeah.
Did he
it's
roll
a right
it?
Ankle, isn't it?
Yeah. He's up to his feet.
Good defending centrally though from Ben Davies. But Spurs under pressure here.
Just felt a bit sharp, I think, for Romero. He's okay, I think. It will be a corner kick over on the right-hand side. Trippier takes it again for Newcastle. They're lined up in the bus-stop fashion. Comes near post, headed away by Davies. Looped away towards the halfway line by Kulusevski. Met, though, this time by Livramento, who carries forward. Still with it, Livramento. Poked back towards Guimaraes, who's going to wrestle away from Kulusevski. Slips into a challenge, loses possession, wins it back. And then it's hacked away by Spurs to safety and out on this near touchline. And it came off a Newcastle player last, so it'll be a Spurs throw halfway inside the Toon Army half of the pitch.
I think the Spurs manager just wants them to get possession back again, really, Phil, and start to build and get some passes and get Newcastle running.
Yeah.
Because the visitors have certainly had the better moments at the beginning of this second.
Vicario again launches it away. Brennan Johnson battling with Livramento. It bounces off the back of the Welshman and squirted back to Dubravka. Leaves it square to Fabian Schär. Newcastle United. As you said earlier, Bradley, Kieran Trippier was at fault for a couple of the goals, but he is their top assister as well. The referee and the assistant neither know whose possession is. It's eventually been given to Spurs as a throw-in. Chris Kavanagh didn't have a clue, his assistant didn't have a clue. The players were confused. They were saying, look, just give it to someone. Spurs got the throw. Back it comes to the halfway line, and Ben Davies again. Schär cut this out. Spurs, though, are able to recycle with the score of the first goal. 55 minutes played, a Dogi to Bissouma. Inside the centre circle is Romero. Seems none the worse for that challenge that left him wincing in a bit of pain a moment or so ago. Right on the right-hand side, it's Pedro Porro for Tottenham. Tickles it back towards Brennan Johnson. Wins it again. Here's Bissouma, strikes a shot. Dubravka is right behind that. Makes a comfortable save.
Yeah, the pass across 20 yards out from goal, parallel with the 18-yard line from Sarr. Perhaps was overstruck a little bit, and he tried to hit it first time, Bissouma, and sweep it towards the goal, but down to his right-hand side. Comfortable save for Dubravka.
Here's Fabian Schär, who is going to just tickle it across towards Livramento. Guimaraes put under pressure. Schär has to tease it away from Richarlison. Dubravka is going to launch it towards the right-hand side, and Trippier, he just rolls it towards Almiron. Trippier's behind him. Guimaraes in centre midfield instead. Almiron goes for the return. It's swirled out to him with the outside of the boot from Guimaraes, but Spurs have cut it out, and then Kieran Trippier makes the clearance and darts forward and gives Newcastle a handy attacking position on the right-hand side. Almiron in towards Isak. 9 goals so far this season for him. Pokes it towards Joel Linton. Spurs have won it back, only for a brief period of time though, as Almiron wants it played into his path. He ran offside and he berates Livramento for not passing it first time. And Newcastle are forced back towards the halfway line by Spurs. But here now comes Fabian Schär. Gets a little fortuitous ricochet, but Spurs come away with it. Brennan Johnson over the halfway line. Kulusevski just had Lascelles bursting at him.
Almost on the counter-attack there. Just needed a bit of quality, but the throw-in's been took very quickly by Johnson.
Kulusevski into the penalty area. Shuffled away by Schär. Johnson's behind Kulusevski. Nutmegs Guimaraes to find the Welshman. Here in midfield now is Pedro Porro. 2-0 Tottenham Hotspur lead. Kulusevski on the half-turn, plays it behind Richarlison, and it'll be Newcastle. A few groans from the south stand, who are able to clear their lines towards the halfway line. Is that a foul? Well, it is, but excuse me. Newcastle allowed to continue with Trippier down the right-hand side again. Almiron makes a run beyond him. Miley is up in attack as well. Checks back in field though to Joel Linton, who scored 3 goals in Premier League games against Spurs in his time. And here is Lascelles. Newcastle trying to be patient, Spurs trying to defend in the way that West Ham did the other day, by just making sure their penalty area is defended, but they've wiggled it out wide to Miley. Here's a cross. Isak won't head it away. Goalwards. It's come off Brennan Johnson, and it's a corner kick to Newcastle United.
Yeah, clever. To the byline, right-hand side, stand-up cross, just slightly overhit, wasn't it, from young Miley? Isak was pulling away, and the challenge was made. It was cleared then by Brennan Johnson, and it's another corner. And this one's going to be put right under the crossbar, I think, from Kieran Trippier from Newcastle's left.
Here it comes, Trippier, in-swinger, punched away by Vicario. Danger's not quite averted. Son might try and get it clear. Claims of handball. Here goes Spurs. Now they can break. It's Son over the halfway line. Will he play the pass? He's tugged down by Lascelles. Yellow card will be awarded. And Chris Kavanagh is going to pull the card out of his pocket. He had to do that. Jamal Lascelles. That's what he will say. That's what his coach will say. He's taken one for the team to stop Spurs' forward momentum.
Interesting. Here's a question for you, Phil. Has it stopped the goal-scoring opportunity, that challenge with the numbers and the overload Spurs had there? Clever from the Cells, isn't it? I know Spurs are still, 45 yards out from the Newcastle goal. Still a little bit of work to do, but they had the numbers there.
Just wondered, though, whether Son should have actually used
offloaded it. Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose technically the referee there's too much to happen in that circumstance to say it's a clear goal-scoring opportunity. But that's why it's a yellow, not a red. But here goes Porro looking for Richarlison. His first touch lets him down. His second doesn't. He scores his second goal, and Spurs increase their lead. The South Stand rises. Richarlison's hugged by his teammates. A lovely ball just floated into his path in the end. Pedro Porro getting congratulations for the assist, and Richarlison getting congratulations for the goal. It's Tottenham Hotspur stretching ahead. It's Spurs 3, Newcastle United 0.
Lovely ball, diagonal over the shoulder of the defence. Line breaking run from Richarlison. He looked with the touch as if he was going away from goal slightly, and he'd lost the chance, but he did take enough out of the Porro pass. And left foot, he just squirmed it into the bottom left-hand corner underneath the Dubravka for the all-important third goal. Brilliant finish from the former Everton striker.
Really good finish, considering, his first touch just had to stretch a little bit as a consequence, but he was able to do so, stretch out that big left leg. Richarlison gets his second, the hour mark is reached, and you'd have to say, Bradley, now Spurs can start thinking about all 3 points in this game.
Yeah, very much so. It's been a good second half, actually. Credit to Newcastle. We expected a response. They've given it. They pushed Spurs back, but there was always that opportunity on the break for Spurs to exploit and use the space, and Richarlison did that really well.
Again, and here they go in the area. Kulusevski won't get on the end of it. Richarlison's on a hat-trick, Bradley, as well, interestingly. I can't see him being withdrawn from the action at this moment in time. And Newcastle starting to pant a little bit because they're struggling. Isak, left-hand side, trailing by 3 goals to 0. 5 games without a win. Spurs are heading towards ending that run this afternoon. Nottingham Forest away on Friday night. Another game you can hear live on BBC Radio London, as this time Almiron goes darting forward, but he's not going to beat Udogie to the ball. Spooned away to the left-hand side, and Son chests it infield. Kieran Trippier's back, though, to win it back for Newcastle.
I think as a Premier League manager, Phil,
been given away again. Here comes Pape Matar. Lovely little back heel. Dejan Kulusevski, edge of the penalty area, slips it towards Brennan Johnson. It's off the post. Pedro Porro recycles, cleared as far as Richarlison on the edge of the 18-yard box. Lovely football from Spurs. Richarlison turns it out wide to Son on the left-hand side. Maybe goes for the return. The South Korean instead pushes it back into midfield, and Bissouma. What a chance for Brennan Johnson, Bradley.
We were right behind it. It's a super effort. Struck the inside of the post.
Ben Davies clips it. Kulusevski on the right-hand side. Brings it under control on the thigh. Now he dinks it towards Richarlison. Son's attacking, puts it wide. Oh, this could be 5 or 6, Bradley. It really could at this rate.
What a cross.
2.5 minutes gone. 3-0.
Newcastle want to make a change. Wilson will come in. The noise is brilliant.
Well, some of the football again, they've just returned on the mojo here. Brennan Johnson almost getting a 4th. Son almost getting a 4th. Callum Wilson coming on. There's a double change being prepared as well by Newcastle. Looks like Longstaff coming on as well?
Yeah.
And it's a Spurs throw on the right-hand side. And Newcastle United, 2 players who returning from injury are coming on, Callum Wilson and Sean Longstaff, who they're going to replace. Excuse me, Almiron is coming off, Bradley. And I wonder if it'll be Isak who's coming off as well. Indeed it is. So Wilson is on for Isak, the leading scorer, and Almiron withdrawn. And I wonder how much also Eddie Howe is now thinking about midweek against AC Milan.
Yeah, I think this one is, we can safely say, is pretty much done. But you know, I'm not saying that Eddie Howe, he's a top manager. He would have been setting up his side to sort of have one eye on that key game in the week, Phil. But you can't do that in the Premier League.
No,
it's brutal, Phil. It's absolutely brutal. Look at David Moyes this afternoon at Craven Cottage.
Yeah.
You know, amazing victory and deserved second half here against Spurs, but they've gone to Fulham and they got royally pumped this afternoon.
Well, it's 3-0 and it could be more at this rate. It really could be more. Although Newcastle are going to try and at least get themselves back into this game. 25 minutes still to go on BBC Radio London Sport on DAB on a Sunday afternoon. Tony Blackburn here on 94.9 shortly. Dotun Adebayo from 7 o'clock and a throw-in for Newcastle on the left-hand side. Don't forget, tomorrow night from 6, Aaron Paul's debrief of the whole weekend. Tuesday night, Barnet are in FA Cup action, actually. That's going to be really interesting. Having got through in the trophy yesterday against Maidstone, can they progress against Newport County? On Wednesday night, we've got Millwall at Leicester. Doesn't get any easier for Joe Edwards. As here goes Anthony Gordon. Again, one in midfield by Pape Matar and Kulusevski now driving forward. He's still with it, rolls it towards Brennan Johnson. Right-hand side of the Spurs attack. Son maybe was the option to the left from Dejan Kulusevski. He had two left, but now they break into the penalty area with Pedro Porro. Oh, he's dinked it up in the air and onto the roof of the net.
Yeah, it was, I think, a cross that sort of turned into a lofted shot there, but it was always going to go up and over the crossbar. But I agree, another brilliant surging run. He's done that so well all afternoon, Kulusevski, but the pass was the offload to his left where Son was in a really favourable position.
Spurs have won it again. Son, Newcastle are just rolling backwards. Here's Daniel Kulusevski. It's saved by Dubravka.
Yeah, he deserves a goal. I just spoke about the Swede. Real quality this afternoon.
Grumarish slides it to the right. Trippier carries over the halfway line. We are almost halfway through the second half. Anthony Gordon drives it in towards Callum Wilson. Vicario makes a very, very comfortable take. It's going to be a difficult journey back in Newcastle. I'm assuming they'll do it by plane.
Yeah.
Flying out of Stansted, I would have thought. Bradley. But losing here by 3-0. How damaging. I mean, they lost 3-0 at Everton. They're 3-0 down here. I don't think the goal scoring is necessarily over. Spurs are in the mood, Bradley. They want to do something. They felt a little bit hurt about their defeats recently. Here's Son. Son strikes it. Dubravka with a comfortable save.
Yeah, he was picking up speed. Angling in, left corner of the 18-yard box. Trippier was backing off there against the Spurs captain. Just scuffed his shot a little bit.
Put 5 in last time they beat Newcastle here on a Sunday back in April 2022. As Vicario scoops it out of play on the far touchline. He thought it was a back pass. It was a throw-in awarded to Newcastle. That was a 5-1 win back then. Davis, Doherty, Son, Emerson, Bergwijn, all with the goals. Fabian Schär scored for Newcastle on that particular occasion. Spurs won away 2 seasons ago, 3-2 at St James's Park as well. As Joel Linton, left-hand side for the Toon Army. Their fans have stayed singing over on the far touchline. It'll be their 5th defeat of the season, Bradley, in the Premier League. They only lost 3 away from home all season last season, did Newcastle United.
Well, I think that's where the pressure might build on Eddie Howe a little bit, with the huge expectations now on his shoulders.
Back to Miley it goes, prods it into the 18-yard box, smeared with the outside of the boot by Grumarish. Here's Son, tries to flick it around the corner to Udogie. One back by Callum Wilson. Son, though, pickpockets possession, and then he wrestles it clear of another couple of challenges. And here comes Udogie, infield, he runs into traffic. Wilson curves it out wide towards the right-hand side. Too many turnovers. The cross towards Joel Linton. And he's gone flying in there, Joel Linton, and he's going to get shown a yellow card.
That was quite aggressive, wasn't it? Through the back of Porro.
Yeah.
He's clattered him there, and correct decision by the referee. He's a bit frustrated.
Yeah, he certainly is.
The cross actually come into a good area, but he bravely defended it, Porro, to be fair. Yeah, it's a hell of a whack, Phil, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Certainly was. Racing 92, 7. Harlequins 7. Marcus Smith has scored the try and converted it in the Champions Cup as Pape Matar Sarr brings it under control on the right-hand side for Spurs. Goes back to Romero, receives the pass, quick passing. Porro, Sarr again, spoons it towards the left, looking for Son. Easily headed back to his own goalkeeper by Kieran Trippier. Tottenham Hotspur, who travel to Nottingham Forest next week. Getting back to winning ways, it would be in a case of 5 without a win. That was off the back of 4 straight victories for Spurs. Biggest win this season, 5-2 away at Burnley. They're 3-0 up in this game. And Vicario will gather it inside his own penalty area. Scored 3 last weekend, of course, against Manchester City, but that late equaliser from Dejan Kulusevski giving them a share of the spoils on that occasion. 3 so far today and looking for more. Udogie over the halfway line. Son, who's got a couple of assists to his name already, breaks down that left-hand flank, wrestles it away from Trippier. And then that's come off Son last for a throw-in to Newcastle. Kieran Trippier.
Change, I think, for Spurs is imminent. Looks as if Højbjerg, I think, is going to come on in midfield.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lively and active afternoon. Pedro Porro, by the way, is all right after that clatter on the back by Joel Linton. There may be a couple of changes possibly for Tottenham Hotspur. As,
Lo Celso as well, I think.
Yeah. We'll see which players actually get taken out of the reckoning. Pape Matar Sarr brings it under control on the chest. He drives over the halfway line. Son on that left-hand side just cushions it back in field to Yves Bissouma, stroking the ball forward he comes, and he runs into the centre circle. Kulusevski peels towards the right. Brennan Johnson is a bit more central now as Pedro Porro has possession. The game is effectively done as Newcastle head it clear towards Joel Linton, wearing some strapping on that right wrist of his. He just holds off Brennan Johnson, scoops it infield. Here is Miley, and it's played away from Fabian Schär to Guimaraes. And Ange Postecoglou is going to make a change or two. 72 minutes almost gone, Bradley. Spurs leading 3-0.
Well, the pace, not surprisingly, is just sort of dropped a little bit. It's like lulling the game.
Joel Linton has it, left-hand side. He's got an overlapping run from Livramento if he needs him. It means he can carry it infield. He just runs straight at Pedro Porro, really, and Romero is able to work it clear towards Dejan Kulusevski. Keeps it in on this right-hand side, great skills, pushes it forward towards Richarlison, and then Guimaraes goes in and slides it out of play for a throw-in on this near touchline to Spurs in front of the Newcastle United technical area. They're going to make another change as well. Newcastle, well, it looks like Lewis Hall's going to come on, and it will be Pape Matar Sarr that's going to be replaced by Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Richarlison won't get his hat-trick. He will be replaced excuse me, by Lo Celso, but a standing ovation for the pair of them, Bradley.
Yeah, 2 outstanding individual performances, and that should do Richarlison's confidence no harm whatsoever with a brace from him this afternoon.
So here comes Lo Celso. He's got a couple of goals in recent weeks, Bradley, so we will hope for more. Lewis Hall is going to replace Livramento, so the Chelsea connection continues though, as Lewis Hall on loan at Newcastle comes on. It's his 6th appearance of the season, second time he's come off the bench, Lewis Hall. We're also seeing Anthony Gordon withdrawn from the action to be replaced by Matt Ritchie. That again feels like a preparation for midweek against AC Milan. Challenging period then, and defeat to Milan means that Newcastle won't even qualify for the Europa League consolation prize of the Champions League teams that drop out. On the right hand side here is Brennan Johnson tries to poke it forward inside the penalty area. Good feet, gets away from a couple of challenges, but can't get away from too many. And it will be Newcastle who have it with Lewis Hall. Prods it to Joe Linton, goes to return straight at Porro from Joe Linton's clip, and it will be a throw in to Newcastle halfway inside their own half on the left-hand side. What, 16 to go plus added time? Spurs leading 3-0, Brent.
Yeah, and comfortable. I think this is just, you know, what Spurs needed, Phil, and I think the cherry on the cake this evening would be a clean sheet, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Send the home fans delirious, you know, because it's been an outstanding performance, just what they really needed, and it keeps them right in the mix, doesn't it, for those European spots?
Certainly does, as Spurs have won it again. Basuma, Son has gone central. Basuma manages to wriggle away from a couple of challenges, pushes it towards the feet of Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Here's Lo Celso, pushes it out wide towards the Dogi. Just resting on the ball a little bit now, Spurs. Friday night, the next encounter for Tottenham Hotspur. Back to winning ways in this game against Newcastle, who nudge it forward, but Spurs come away with it. Højbjerg to Johnson, right-hand side. Gets clear of his marker, shuffles it back to Giovanni Lo Celso. Hassled and harried by Newcastle United players, but then Porro with a little nutmeg. Pedro Porro strikes it. Saved by the goalkeeper, Dubravka, diving
he keeps
to his
pushing
right.
Porro, doesn't he, from that
really wants
inverted
one.
midfield position.
He really wants one.
Struck from range. More convincing that was. Good save by Dubravka down to his right.
Andre the Giant, Andre Esterhuizen, has scored a second try for Harlequins, converted by Marcus Smith. 14-7 they lead in Paris against Racing 92, top of the top 14, as it's going to be Joe Linton with a shot deflected wide. And it
Off the back of Højbjerg, did well, kept his arms down.
Corner kick.
Joe Linton's effort, checked inside, right foot shot just outside the box. Newcastle corner.
Look at it though, Newcastle are now 7 points away from the top 4. I know there's a long way to go in the season, but qualifying, the Spurs did it for a little while. Getting into the Champions League for multiple seasons is important.
Yeah.
One season looks like a flash in the pan. If you can do it for more than one, suddenly you start becoming a serious player at that level. Here comes Kieran Trippier's corner kick, headed wide by Joe Linton.
Good
out
chance.
of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed there. 5 yards out. Great corner from Trippier. And he's just glassed it well wide of the Spurs goal.
But if you're Newcastle, you're looking at it thinking it's going to be tough to get back into the top 4 as Spurs try and spray it towards the right, and Brennan Johnson headed down though by Shah, and now it's going to be clipped by Dubravka to the right-hand side. Matt Ritchie with the downward header. Spurs come away with it again. Here they go through midfield, and Pedro Porro. Basuma, again just neat and tidy on the ball, Bradley. Mops it up, tidies it up.
He's transformed his game, Basuma, isn't he?
Yeah.
He looks the player that, you know, the fee that Spurs paid for him, season before last when they took him from Brighton. He's been spoke too early,
we've just cursed him, haven't we?
Disappointed.
He's literally just given the ball away as we were lavishing praise on Yves Basuma, and Joe Linton picks it up on the left-hand side and skips infield, gets away from one challenge, still with it. No foul. Oh yeah, referee's given the foul late on against Pedro Porro. He smiles, he helps Joe Linton up to his feet. I don't think there was much intention there. He initially got away from Romero, who slipped, and then the boot was out there from Pedro Porro, and it will be a free kick to Newcastle United. 12 minutes to go plus added time. It's 3-0 Tottenham Hotspur, and a free kick which Kieran Trippier is behind. He's just having a little discussion as to what to say. 7 assists in the Premier League for Kieran Trippier this season. Top assister, if that is such a phrase or word, Bradley, for the Toon. Vicario, what he'll want is a clean sheet as well, Bradley. Again, something that's been hard to come by for Tottenham Hotspur in recent weeks since that 1-0 win, and the 2-0 win here against Fulham. And it will be a free kick which Kieran Trippier will take. Everyone lined up on the edge of the Spurs penalty area. Trippier is going to glance it into the 6-yard box, and it bounces away from Fabian Schär and through to Vicario, who gathers the ball in his 6-yard box. Callum Wilson gives him a little bit of a nudge. They have a little bit of a word, and he bowls it square to Romero, and back it comes to Vicario. Newcastle fans, some of them had trouble getting here as Lo Celso picks up in midfield and drives forward, but Guimaraes makes another good tackle. Lo Celso dawdling on the ball. Here's Callum Wilson. Oh dear, gets absolutely smashed into by Romero. Another yellow card coming his way, I think. And then...
Poor challenge, isn't it, from Romero?
It's not a great challenge.
I think it was a foul initially before that, through the back of Callum Wilson.
And then something else happened afterwards.
And he let almost the advantage go, didn't he, for a couple of seconds? Whether he's been asked to check that, he is going to yellow card Christian Romero, the referee, Mr. Kavanagh. Free kick Newcastle.
There was another little incident afterwards, I think, with Callum Wilson lying down. Now, I don't know. Whoa, I'm not sure, you know, Bradley, whether they will look at this. The initial challenge was good, and then I'm not sure.
That's why we might have the delay here.
The VAR going to look at whether this is more than a yellow. Chris Kavanagh's chatting to Fabian Schär. The free kick hasn't been allowed. Nothing's been put up on the board at the moment. Chris Kavanagh has told, chatting to Son Heung-min, well, he's marching back to where the free kick wall, where the wall would be for Spurs. So he's put his spray down, Chris Kavanagh. So I don't think there's going to be any further discussion about this. It's a free kick for Newcastle United and no further punishment. We saw the Frank Onyeka situation at Sheffield United yesterday, and I think it looked very similar to that, Bradley Allen.
Yeah.
He's talking. I just had a little word, I think, with the players on the edge of the penalty area. Romero definitely got shown a yellow card, though, Bradley. And I just wonder whether, if this comes to nothing, whether it would be worth bringing Emerson Royale on for the last 10 minutes, Bradley, with Romero on that yellow card. Here's Lewis Hall, dinks it up in the air towards the far side of the penalty area. Matt Ritchie will keep it in, spoons it into the 6-yard box. Up in the air it goes, and Vicario comes to claim possession for Spurs. 8.5 minutes to go. One or two Newcastle fans drifting away, Bradley.
Yeah.
Spurs leading 3-0.
Yeah, just managing to defend their box, aren't they, Spurs here? Just seen another replay, and he's almost trod on the back of Wilson's right heel, and then a follow through again after that with the momentum.
Udogie, no foul, says the referee. I thought he was nudged over. Spurs fans thought so too. Here's Ritchie for Newcastle. We get a little bit spicy at the end of this game here as Tottenham come away with it. Whoa, Ritchie almost flying in with a challenge. Now there's legs flailing all over the place. Dejan Kulusevski, I think, has been left in a crumpled heap. Kieran Trippier shown a yellow card. Bit of frustration. It's all getting a bit silly, Bradley. 3-0 Spurs lead.
Yeah,
it's
I wonder
unnecessary.
Yeah, I think Spurs just need to be simple, 1 and 2 touch. Don't get too close to your opponent. Keep moving the ball like they've done that brilliantly across the game.
Kulusevski's up to his
Because
feet.
the crowd have really buzzed off this display here this evening, haven't they, Phil?
Trippier, yellow card. And a free kick to Spurs that's rolled forward into Newcastle territory. It's filtered into Son Heung-min. Will he get a fourth? And that's a save by Dubravka. The penalty's been awarded. Dubravka came out, legs flailing. Penalty's been pointed to by Chris Kavanagh. So they will get a chance for a fourth. Son goes to ground, and Son will take the spot kick.
Terrific play through midfield, reverse pass from Porro, nudged it round the goalie, little bit of contact. Clip of the heel. And is it the Spurs captain, the Spurs number 7 himself, to step up and drew in a fourth?
Well, Dubravka thought he'd got contact with the ball, but they've had a look at it. He hasn't. It's Son against Dubravka. Gil and Skip wait on the sidelines. Son Heung-min's got a couple of assists. Now he can get a goal as well. If you've captained him in your fantasy team, this could be a very, very important 12-yard kick.
Well said, Phil.
Especially with the fantasy players who were livid that Haaland wasn't even involved at Luton today. Man City won that 2-1, by the way. Fulham beat West Ham 5-0 and Everton beat Chelsea 2-0. It's Son against Dubravka at the south stand end of the ground. There's a hush around the ground. He's going to stride forward 3 or 4 paces to strike. This is the South Korean. He's going to look for his 10th goal of the season, and he gets it. Son Heung-min for Tottenham Hotspur. 4-0 the final scoreline, you would have thought. He celebrates with the fans away to our right-hand side, and the afternoon is complete. Spurs 4, Newcastle United 0.
Thumped it in. Dubravka no chance. Outstanding performance, Tottenham Hotspur this evening. 4-0.
Pedro Porro celebrates with the fans away to our right-hand side. The keeper went the right way, but it was struck right into the corner. Absolutely unstoppable from Son Heung-min. And Spurs are back to winning ways in fine fashion. 5 without a win, 4 goals this afternoon, 3 points guaranteed. If you want to carry on with the Christmas countdown, Bradley, 2 weeks to go to the big day. And a change being made on the sidelines right now, and it will be Brennan Johnson's going to be replaced by Brian Hill, and Yves Bissouma has Oliver Skipp coming on to replace him. Kieran Trippier, by the way, being taken off to be replaced by Emil Kraft for Newcastle, who are down and out in this game, and their fans have now streamed for the exits.
The importance for me, Phil, of this result, performance and victory here for Tottenham this evening was eradicating any doubts amongst the fans, I think, and the noise of the Tottenham fans. You know, yeah, okay, we're going to keep going with this. We love this football. And actually what the manager, the most disappointing thing for him after the game on Thursday evening, after that defeat by West Ham, was the not winning of the game. Well, they've done that, and they've done it in comprehensive fashion. And quite simply, he is not going to change for anybody in terms of his approach. And I do think, you know, the reverse of that in a way with previous managers, but with this manager, that's why they really love him already. They've warmed to him so much, haven't they?
Yeah, they're not going to alter. And here they go again. Biggest, you'd have to say, biggest win of the season, 4-goal margin, beat Burnley 5-2, but with all due respect to Burnley, even though it was at Turf Moor, Newcastle are seen as a much more difficult opponent. Today, though, they had us go for 15 minutes in the second half, Newcastle, but the 3rd goal killed the game off, really, and now Spurs are enjoying it, and maybe the late changes in this game will get a 5th. We've got 3 minutes plus added on time to go, and obviously as a stickler, Chris Kavanagh will probably award about 6 minutes, Bradley.
Yeah, I think he will. It's been untold amount of substitutes, isn't there? So there will be a good few injury minutes.
Dejan Kulusevski, as you said a few minutes ago, Bradley, he deserves a goal if there's to be another one. Here comes Pedro Porro. He gets clattered in midfield. Hill brings it away, though. Skips infield, though, off the right-hand side. Pushes it back infield. Now it's a chance possibly for Udogie, who got the 1st goal of the afternoon, to find Kulusevski. Dinks it towards the far post. Oliver Skipp saved by Dubravka.
Oh, what a chance. Nearly a 5-star show. Dink cross, and Skipp tried to nudge it. Made a big barrier there, Dubravka.
He's only scored 1 Spurs goal in his 94 previous appearances for Tottenham Hotspur as Oliver Skipp. That really would have capped off a beautiful afternoon for Ange Postecoglou's side. A clean sheet at the other end as well. And here we go, as it will be worked towards Ben Davies. Slides it. As I said, last time they beat Newcastle, they got 5, a 5-1 win here, as Son rolls into the penalty area. Son across the face of goal, he puts it wide.
Inches wide. Lovely football.
Newcastle have checked out, Bradley.
Yeah.
They're like, can we just not get on the bus? Can we get away from here? They can't get away from here quick enough. They're 4-0 down, and Spurs are in such scintillating form late on in this game. They're looking for a fifth. They're not letting go, are they? They are like that cat that has played and toyed with the mouse and now is not letting it out of its jaws. Flicked away by Matt Ritchie, and here is Vicario, who's well out of his 18-yard box to receive the pass. He's going to clip it towards Brian Kill, thighs it down, under pressure though from the likes of Miley, and then strides away from Jolinton. And it will be all the way back into Vicario's possession. Slipping it square out of his 18-yard box to Davis, goes towards the halfway line. Kulusevski with the flick. Here comes Lo Celso. Skip ahead of him. He's got Brian Hill to his right. Hill wants it. He's got an overlapping run as well from Porro. Pedro Porro. Oh dear. On the stretch, scoops it out of play.
Oh, what a chance. 5 players bursting forward there. Lo Celso, Skip.
Really is quite scintillating, isn't it? Another change being made, and we are going to see Alfie, Jamie Donnelly, I think, come on, Bradley.
Home debut. Academy graduate, this is wonderful.
Son gives the armband to Romero, and Jamie Donnelly comes on. Standing ovation for Son Heung-min, and no doubt a standing ovation for the young man coming on, Bradley.
Yeah, Colchester boy, Jamie. One for the future. Lovely left foot. Been at the club since 8 years of age.
Yeah. Well, he's on, and we're playing 5 minutes of added. He's got 4.5 minutes, Bradley. Could he? What an afternoon that would be. Højbjerg heads it up in the air. Romero rolls it back to his goalkeeper Vicario. Right-footed, slips it towards the left-hand side. Højbjerg. He's given away possession. Here is Wilson for Newcastle. Jolinton makes it 4 goals against Spurs in various appearances in the Premier League, and that, Vicario, no wonder he's berating his teammates, because as a goalkeeper, he's berating the referee as well. As a goalkeeper, you want to keep a clean sheet, and that was too simple. Ball given away. Is he suggesting that there was maybe an offside? There wasn't. And Jolinton strikes it in to make it 4-1 to Spurs.
Yeah. Playing out from the back with any team, Phil, is fraught with risk at times if your opponent jumps and presses. Let's have a look.
Well, the referee is now in conversation with Vicario, so they're checking a possible offside. So where are they checking the offside from? No. It's a goal. I didn't see where in that move there was a possible offside at all, Bradley. That's frustrating, though,
yeah,
isn't it, from Vicario's point of view?
Yeah,
it's a goalkeeper.
Just ever so slightly takes the edge off the evening, doesn't it?
Yeah. As I said, he's scored now in 4 games in the Premier League, which means that Spurs are his most favoured opponent to score against. But here come Tottenham looking for a 5th. Kulusevski, Skip ahead of him, drives it towards Kill instead. He'll just about keep it in, scampers over to this near touchline to do so. Donnelly's inside the penalty area. Kulusevski's ball was overhit a little bit, Bradley. Hill has it. They're not looking to take it into the corner. They're looking for a 5th goal. They've given possession away to Newcastle. Here's Callum Wilson, taken away from his path by Ben Davis. Dribbles it forward. It's Lo Celso. He's got Lewis Hall at his back. Guimaraes has carried it clear, and now it's over the top for Callum Wilson to race onto. Adogi at his back, picked up by Lewis Hall, but he's offside. Is Callum Wilson. Free kick has been awarded to Spurs. It's been a funny old game, isn't it, in many respects, as Gill breaks forward again. Donnelly's inside the penalty area. Brian Hill with it. He's going to jab it to a comfortable clearance from Sean Longstaff. Spurs having it going. We've played 3.5 of the added 5 minutes. Oliver Skip has it. The result is assured.
Yeah.
The late goal conceded is frustrating, but Spurs have been dominant in this game.
Probably the last passage of play here as the seconds tick in those 5 injury time minutes.
Here they go again with Pedro Porro. Spins it back to Romero, calming things down. It's a little run from Dejan Kulusevski. Donnelly won't get on the ball. Guimaraes does, and Wilson, I think, was being played on that time by Ben Davies, and he's into the penalty area. And Callum Wilson thought about taking a shot, tries to create the opportunity. Should have taken the first time effort, shouldn't he? It's been pickpocketed away by Romero. Lo Celso receives on the far touchline. Man on as Kraft closes down on him. Here into midfield, it's Højbjerg. Lo Celso again. Donnelly's peeled away towards the left. Lo Celso dinks it towards Brian Hill. Lewis Hall has intervened though. He carries forward for Newcastle. Spurs leading by 4 goals to 1. It's been nicked by Pedro Porro, but it rolls away from him and out of play for a throw-in. And we've got 30 seconds to go. Bradley Allen, referee, will blow his whistle shortly. Donnelly goes in to try and win it back. It's all a bit silly now, isn't it? Long stuff. Guimaraes. Callum Wilson is ahead of it. Flicks it out wide towards the right-hand side. Here goes Matt Ritchie. It'll be Kraft, who curves it across, downward header straight at the goalkeeper Vicario by Callum Wilson. Newcastle have been, or have created, or been allowed to create more chances in the last 2-3 minutes than they had in the previous 25-30. As the referee blows the final whistle, Spurs are back to winning ways in fine style. Son capping it off with a goal. Udogie getting them going in the first half. Well, I don't know, Vicario's unhappy, Bradley. He's having a go at his defenders because he doesn't like the fact his clean sheet has been taken away from him. Now he's berating Callum Wilson and Joel Linton. Not quite sure what this is all about. It's all a little bit silly, Bradley. Spurs, though, with their 4 goals. A late one from Joel Linton just took the shine off it, I suppose. But it's been a very comprehensive victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Udogie with the first goal, getting us off and running. Richarlison with a pair and Son with a penalty. It's finished Tottenham Hotspur 4, Newcastle United 1.
BBC Radio London.
The home of London football.
Not quite sure what Vicario was unhappy about, Bradley. He's now shaking hands with Dejan Kulusevski. The Newcastle players go and thank their fans for their support. If you're going to get back to winning ways, do it in style, and Spurs did just that, Bradley.
Yeah, the noise is great, performance outstanding, worthy winners this evening. Spurs really needed that, and hopefully that will be a real shot back in the arm, you know, from a confidence point of view, for a tough run of games now. And I think if Spurs can finish 2023 strongly and put some more points on the board where they are in the league, they deserve to be in the league, Phil, because they've barring a couple of sticky games recently, they've played well enough and they've accumulated those points in deserved fashion. And I think that's why the excitement amongst the fans is there. And I think they will want and love them to have a real go as well in the FA Cup, you know, when they play Burnley here at the start of January.
The Newcastle fans are dancing to Freed from Desire just as much as the Spurs fans. The Newcastle players have gone to applaud them. Some of it will be just like gallows humour,
yeah.
But they've also got to appreciate that this is a Newcastle squad that has been, like we talked about Spurs, but it's been really decimated with injury. They've been playing Champions League football. It's taking its toll, Bradley.
Yeah.
On a wider issue, are we asking too much of our players at this moment in time?
Great question. The Tottenham fans and their players probably won't agree with that, because they want to play football and they've got a manager that wants them to play go-for-it football, more importantly. I think for Newcastle this afternoon, I'm not sure about Free From Desire, it was more Fog on the Tyne. They want some livelier tunes come midweek, because they've got a huge game, massive game, real pressure for Eddie Howe midweek, and he's got to start to pick up his away form for his side if they're going to get back into Europe at the end of this season and into 2024. He knows that. He's an experienced, talented manager, but it's Spurs evening, and Big Ange giving the fans a great round of applause.
Spurs 5th, just 3 points behind Manchester.
Yeah, they're in the midfield, aren't they?
Manchester City.
Yeah.
3 points behind Manchester City, Bradley.
Yeah, and they've got key head-to-head games, so they're really going to play a part, aren't they, in terms of the teams that they're going to still have to face. They've got some brilliant games here. They've got Arsenal to play here.
Yeah.
They've got to go to Anfield. They've got to play Manchester City here. They've got to play Aston Villa, you know, Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. So there's some wonderful games for Tottenham to play. London Stadium, loads of excitement. Football at its best level.
And Ange Postecoglou, as you said, won't change. Hasn't changed through this recent run the way he wants his team to play. They're singing out, you know, the Big Ange song at this moment.
Yeah,
instead,
the Robbie Williams rendition.
Here inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But it's like, you know, the people talk about DNA of sort of football clubs. The DNA of what Spurs is about exciting attacking football, the glory boys, the push and run, all of that history. So we said about Jurgen Klopp when he went to Liverpool, I think he got what Liverpool was about. You sort of get that sense that's what Ange Postecoglou is about, but playing that sort of football does mean you don't necessarily win all the time. You are going to lose games.
Sure.
And this is a transitionary period, and they're still 5th in the table, just 3 points behind the reigning champions.
Yeah. And I think as well, Phil, you know, about the DNA of the club, that performance actually epitomised, you know, the game is about glory, and Spurs won as well, which was really important.
Yeah.
It was a deserved victory. It's the best that I've seen them play this season, probably for 70 minutes.
Yeah.
They had that 15-20 minute spell, which we sort of expected, because Newcastle couldn't have played really any poorer than what they did by their standards, and they went at it a little bit, and Spurs had to defend their own 18-yard box with some crosses and some corners that rained in, but they come through that. They were always a threat on the break then, because they've got speed, they've got real attacking prowess, and they got the 4 goals. Disappointing that late goal that Joel Linton scored, but that's forgotten. It's a 4-1 victory, and it's a great day for Tottenham.
Bradley, thank you for your company this afternoon. Thanks to Lucy and to Andrew Righty right back at base, to Andy and Paul Parker at Fulham's win against West Ham United, and Emily, who'd been watching Arsenal beat Chelsea in the WSL as well. Thanks to you for listening. We're back from 6 tomorrow with Aaron Paul's weekly debrief of everything that's happened. There's been a lot of talking points, but right now on BBC Radio London, let's hand you back to Tony Blackburn.